No. It's Virtus.Pro versus w7m! Joined by Joystick and JV92 as we get set for our first map here. Joystick, you were here yesterday. Tough result. However, you did beat w7m 2-1 in the groups. This is a bit of a different scenario though, isn't it?
Of course it's different because there's like a lot of people cheering for w7m and for Brazilian teams. It helps them a lot, but we hope that we can do like our best game, our best shape, our best performance. And that's it. We make it once, maybe we can do it second time.
Bom, vocês jogaram contra eles na fase de grupos e eles venceram. E ele disse que agora é um pouco diferente, porque de fato vocês têm o apoio da torcida, mas se eles fizeram uma vez, eles acreditam que hoje podem ter a melhor performance e vencer. Você acha que eles conseguem repetir o que fizeram na fase de grupos?
Eu acho que não, aqui stage é outra coisa, né? Fase de grupo é muito fácil. A torcida ainda é a nosso favor. E vamos botar ele no bolso.
I just say stage group, playoffs, different now. They're gonna be in my pocket.
Joystick, let's not forget here, yes, there's a lot of Brazilian fans, but at home watching, there's a lot of supporters for you and your team. What would you like to say to them?
Of course, thank you all guys for the support. Thank you everyone, thank you for cheering our team. We all love you.
We're ready for this one. Should we shake hands, please?
Feito de mãos, esportividade, é isso.
Go and take your positions ahead of this one. Man, do you know what? I can't hear anything in here.
Really?
Can you?
I think we can do louder, right?
Let's ask them, can you do louder than this?
Let's try your Portuguese once again.
Oh yeah? On the count of 3?
Okay. For the grand final, upper final between Virtus.Pro and w7m in 3, 2, 1.
Vamos passar barulho!
Much better now.
I'm still not sold. I'm still not convinced.
Okay.
One more time. One more time.
Vamos lá então, família.
I want our players, I want everyone backstage, I want everyone in the arena and area to feel the ground shake for this one.
Oh, vamos fazer tremer isso aqui. Vamos balançar o ginásio do Ibirapuera como nunca foi feito antes. Em 3, 2, 1, enche o pulmão e vamos fazer barulho!
Vai, Brasil! Vamos!
Can you feel it?
I can. Should we test one more time who this arena? We've got some time, right?
Oh,
Should we find out?
Can I try something?
Do your thing, brother.
Hey, it's very popular on soccer matches when Brazil plays.
Yes.
Hey, let's do it this. Okay. It's a soccer stadium atmosphere now. I can feel it.
Do you think we could start a wave that goes around the arena? for our fans watching at home, describe what's going on here.
They're chanting like 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and with 7M, it's like, damn, 6. Yeah.
Crazy. Out of every event I have ever been to, this is the craziest, most beautiful crowd I have ever seen. And you've got to think, this will have an impact here. VP, do not get it twisted. They did not come here to get beaten in Sao Paulo. But this crowd supporting W7M in their last dance to achieve something that is completely unthinkable previously in Siege. Major Six Invitational. These fans want to see that happen.
Será que vai acontecer hoje? 2 Majors em sequência e depois Six Invitational. É com vocês, rapaziada. Vamos empurrar, vamos fazer barulho, vamos fazer uma festa que nunca foi vista antes. Vamos lá, ginásio do Ibirapuera. Eu sou brasileiro, com muito orgulho, com muito amor. This is sick.
All right, so you're good looking, you're built like a monster.
Appreciate that.
And you can sing. I don't want to work with you again, Leo, all right? I'm kidding. I'm having the time of my life here in Sao Paulo with these amazing fans, but it is time to get down to business. Will VP or W7M make it to the grand final? It's over to my 2 favorite casters in the bloody world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ian Chambers. Andes, this is Tim. Tim, EU's last hope, arguably any non-Brazilian fan's last hope. Stand here before this wall of noise, this wall of magic is the only way I can describe it, and it feels like there is a monumental task for them to overcome.
There really is. Just, you know, we've talked about that crowd, both just the noise coming out of this place. It's difficult to hear each other, stood next to each other. It is absolutely phenomenal. What an atmosphere. And we've seen the Brazilian teams really thrive with it. The cheers, every single kill. It's just unbelievable.
I tell you what, we love
and we
our
get to see Rodalia and Nelly on the screen
What
behind us.
gorgeous man. Look at that, look at him. I tell you what though, we're massive football fans. We love a live crowd. Genuinely, this has been something absolutely spectacular to behold, but there is a massive game coming up, of course. It's mad in the stadium, I'm sure it's mad in the chat. Jinxie, I hope you're having a good co-stream and your chat are enjoying this as much as we are. Still plenty more to come, as said. If we look back at that game yesterday, though, I'm looking at this for W7M. They have got that magic spark going on. You heard them on the stage a moment ago. Groups are groups, playoffs are playoffs. It is different this time around. And honestly, after yesterday, I'm nervous for Virtus.Pro. They did not look like the team that dominated the group stage.
I've said it so many times, Des, and I think it's prudent to say it again. Form is so important at a tournament and hitting it at the right time. And that's exactly what W7M have done. Finished second in the group, lost to Virtus.Pro. A couple of results that you looked at them and thought, this W7M team isn't necessarily as strong as we expected. But as the tournament has gone on, they have got better and better and better. As G2 found out earlier today, it was something else seeing W7M. They were absolutely phenomenal. The question is, can they do it twice in a row on the same day?
Can you do it on a sunny day in Sao Paulo, Tim? Forget about a rainy Wednesday night in Stoke. This is what it all comes down to. We know that Clubhouse is going to be our first map. Let's spin this bad boy up and get into this series. Jesus Christ. I have never had an experience like this in my life.
I'm sweating up here.
Oh, it's absolutely balmy. I love it. Right, bands. We could talk about these though, Tim. A big staple for Virtus.Pro throughout this competition has been a Ying ban and an Azami ban at every possible opportunity. The only time that hasn't happened is when another team has banned one of those two operators. If that changes here, it signals big intent on their side, but the Ying is going to stick, and I fully expect we'll see the Azami stay, given on the side of w7m, 2 of their players have Azami as their most played operators so far.
Yeah, you just get into that question though, don't you? How much of an opportunity is this given w7m to prepare for exactly this? It's no surprise whatsoever to see those bans coming in, so you better believe that w7m have got a strat in place. Tubarão and Nibana round things out for us, but Des, talk to me about map bans. I look at this ban, Clubhouse, w7m, I'm already worried for the EU team, Des.
What I always think about looking back, though, for Virtus.Pro is back when they were known as Team Empire, they are 4 players from that roster. Everyone always said, you don't take Team Empire to Clubhouse. And it still is going to be the same story for Virtus.Pro. But as you say, for w7m, the battle is, they play every single map, Tim. Until earlier on today, the only map they didn't play was Nighthaven Labs. And then what do? They bring it out after not playing it for the entirety of 2023 and slap G2 around the face with it and utterly destroy them on that map. So at this point, I think it's really hard to say, well, what map do you take w7m to when they're so bloody good at the game right now? Into round 1, though, straight down into the basement, which means you're probably going to see Virtus.Pro having to work their way across the entirety of the top floor, the ground floor, and then into the basement.
And this is one of the reasons that I enjoy watching w7m so much. As you say, it's difficult to find a weakness in maps for them, so teams kind of just have to play their best map rather than trying to find w7m's weak one. And so we usually get some absolute bangers, and we are really hoping for this one to deliver the goods here in Sao Paulo at Six Invitational 2024 as we get things underway between Virtus.Pro and w7m.
As said, you're going to see some probing out of the top floor to begin with from w7m. They'll be keeping Virtus.Pro busy. FaZe really abused Virtus.Pro yesterday because they know that VP are a slow team. They chew through a lot of drones, and then what you'd see Virtus.Pro come out with is making use of 6 to 9 flashbangs, depending on how many they bring in the round, and they use them to take map control. But at this point, w7m already have gone through 4 drones. They have not yet fully abandoned the top floor. They've still got 2 players up there and 2 players on the ground floor already putting to work that same strat that helped FaZe beat Virtus.Pro yesterday.
That's it, just leaning into that time wasting. You know, let's give Virtus.Pro enough problems to solve around the map, and that will burn the seconds. That will force them into those last-ditch attempts onto site. Virtus.Pro, that's something they're definitely going to have to deal with today. As it stands, we're a minute 10 into the round. Virtus.Pro still not inside of the map yet, Des.
This normally is where you would see teams throughout this competition. I think about G2, DZ, Wolves, even other teams like that as well. They would just go and rush and smash their way into the site itself. Forget about the Rovers. There's 3 or 4 players not on site, but Virtus.Pro have started out strong. 2 early kills, have got 2 players on the top floor. Couldn't catch them out towards the east, but have sprung a trap in towards Bedroom and Gym.
This is great from Virtus.Pro, managing to get themselves 3 on the top floor. 1 minute 20 left on the clock. It's pretty much easy for them now to wrap up the rest of the round as JV92 gets spotted on the flank as well. Virtus.Pro have got this entire map locked down, and they're looking to start things out with a flawless round. It's all up to Felipox to stop them on the castle, but it's not going to be an easy one for him as he tries to peek around. Virtus.Pro have taken their eye off the ball a little bit, and they let him pick up joystick, but now Felipox drops back to site, and there's 55 seconds for him to hold on.
A bit of a consolation kill more than anything else. Tim, it's worth noting not a single gunfight has taken place in the basement or around kitchen, around the hallway, around the normal areas of traffic that you see on this map. A great first round coming out from Virtus.Pro, and I'm going to give it to them. We always talk about their slow gameplay and how teams can punish that. They've done a great job, as mentioned, from forcing the defenders away from playing in Cash and CC, out towards Gym and Bedroom, and then have had a player waiting on Logi Hatch and 1 playing on the south balcony. And they've just pincered onto the retreating players, found 3 kills, and really blew that map wide open. So, in a way, actually punished w7m, I think, for trying to take too much control of the map.
And I think as well, you know, we know that there's going to be a big battle over those gunfights today. Do w7m lean into that with confidence and think, we know we can beat these guys for mechanical skill, or will Virtus.Pro have that ability to close them down? And in round 1, they've just shown exactly that. w7m have tried to take the fight to Virtus.Pro. Not something really that FaZe did. FaZe were happy to play behind those sort of time-wasting barriers Barriers, the Legions, the Frosts, everything else. W7M get out into the map and say, you know what, we're bringing the fight to you. And they've just found out why that's a dangerous thing to do against Virtus.Pro, because mechanically, boy, can they do a job.
Totally. I mean, you speak about a really good point there, Tim, as well. Looking back at Cafe and Consulate yesterday, the Virtus.Pro, their attack lent very heavily into playing behind flashbangs. Obviously, with the Ying Band away, you don't have that in the back pocket. So pretty much every round, you are guaranteed to see them bring between 6 and 9 flashes. So not between, it's 6 or 9. You can't have 7 or 8, obviously. But in that spot, what they're doing is looking to get used to drones first and move through the map with droning, then make use of the flashes late in the round to get control of areas of the map. What FaZe did really well was either swing when the flashbangs were being pulled, or they waited for the flashbang to go off in the room in front of them, and then swung from a doorway while they weren't full white screen to take the 1v1 gunfight, while also playing behind things like Smoke, behind Goyo, to really slow Virtus.Pro down and to not enable too many 2 or 3v1s. It was an excellent counter, and although you've seen W7M go very aggressive in the first round, this one is much more side-based. You've got the Mirror, you've got the Clash, you've got the Fenrir. This is not going to be as aggressive as round 1.
It's going to be up to Nade and JV92 to try and hold on to Cash and Red Stairs for as long as possible. For the time being, Virtus.Pro, they're ticking the boxes. They're doing the things they need to do. Opening construction wall, opening CCTV wall. Pasha's moving in through garage now. Just trying to make it as difficult as possible for W7M to feel confident and comfortable. But JV92 and Nade, they will not be moved right now. They're going absolutely nowhere.
They should be flashing out Nade here, really, then trying to push their way through, and I imagine we'll see that play come out here. First flashbang coming in behind. Nade full white screen. He's got Grim on him. No idea where he's being pressure from. Just trying to get himself out of dodge here, but no! The crossfire from inside a catwalk and from the red stairs sees that Clash going down. You'll be asking questions here, Tim. If that Clash could have lived a bit longer and played around the Mirror, around the Fenrir, would this round potentially play out much differently to how I expected it?
We get a beautiful view of how the attack is shaping up there. There's all that movement across from Cash, trying to get control of construction now. KZ's kind of battling around the doorway near Bomb Chassis, just trying to prevent it. But now that Virtus.Pro are in control of CCTV, they can start using these windows. They can start softening up sides and making it even trickier for W7M to remain in their positions. 4 versus 4 at the minute. This is possible, though, for W7 to hold on comfortably.
It should be in this spot, yeah. I think they've managed to get the one back. It's massive for them whilst burning through another 60 seconds on the clock. So Virtus.Pro are going to start feeling the pressure a little bit. They're all trying to flood in from the east side of the map. Really what you want here, I'd imagine, is someone's coming through Logi. Give yourself a second angle. They've got the south balcony after getting the east side controlled too. So right now, it's a 2-point push. But I think they need one more to really make this attack work, Tim.
Yeah, I think they're going to find themselves pushing into the lines of sight that W7M are holding. And here comes that rotation into logistics. Joystick needs to get some work done against Philippox. This gunfight could really determine the round. And it's going to be Joystick that wins it for Virtus.Pro. 4 versus 3. KZ stands up, but he can't do enough as Pasha manages to get in and find the trade. 2v2, 2v1 as JV92 finds a second. It's all up to Joystick, but he can't do it as Hertz closes out the round. And that is going to be W7M taking their first, and the crowd here in Sao Paulo going wild.
Unsurprisingly, every kill they net, every round they find, every plant they get down, Tim, it's going to feel like they've just won the World Cup at a football game. I guarantee you of that. I did think in that round it was interesting. We didn't see Virtus.Pro flex across to bring along the Ash, and we've seen Dan play that throughout the competition. And the go-to counter at the minute against Mirror is the Ash. Because for those who don't know, now her and Carly both have the ability to shatter Mirror windows at range. Really, really powerful tool. It's the main use case we've had in this tournament, but it has been ignored. And now looking actually as we're going into round 3, we're seeing just that. Dan is across onto the Ash to come up against JV92's Mirror down in the basement.
That's it, and you know, making sure they've got that utility that they need to deal with these situations is going to be important for Virtus.Pro. We spoke about it before. We saw a round yesterday where they had 15 breaching charges on side, and you know, it didn't look like it was really the setup they were looking for. That, you know, they've grabbed the operators, they've got 15 breaching charges, but so making sure they've got that utility that they need to deal with these problems, but deal with them quickly is going to be a big key.
I think a big one, as I mentioned, was that slow pace as well.
Yeah.
Really dragged things down to a halt, right? And I think although the end of the round maybe wasn't as clean as W7M were looking for, there's some great fights being run around main stairs, but historically there again we saw FaZe really punish Virtus.Pros when VP tried to close things out with flashbangs, and that's where they often found themselves falling a little bit short. You even saw the friendly flashbang onto Joystick, which is a bit of a moment of miscommunication. Really could have cost them in that push through Logi. Obviously, ultimately it did, but It's one of those moments I'll look back on and just think that's where we've got to tighten things up moving on forwards. Now, one thing we all laughed at Virtus.Pro a bit for yesterday, Tim, was 15 breaching charges on round 2 of Cafe. Here it's 9, so not quite the full 15. Herd started things out inside a garage, finding himself 1. And that Ash that I mentioned, the counter towards the mirror, is off the board.
Could be dangerous for Virtus.Pro if players like Herd starts finding his feet, feeling himself in this game. I said that there could be this battle over gun skill, over gun fights. W7m want to play that fast, aggressive style. Virtus.Pro, they can take those fights and they can win them, but if they don't hold on to them, W7m, they are going to start to run away with this. But at 1-1, it's been even split so far. Joystick shut down, and Herd, as I said, starting to find his feet here on Clubhouse. Could be a very, very dangerous game for Virtus.Pro as he manages to find a third.
Absolutely huge. Shepard at least shutting down the rampage of Herds. Cutting through 3 players of Virtus.Pro. Casey finds another. And this round, very different to how round 1 played out. So they played out on their own, they played aggressively still. And this time round, they have absolutely deleted Virtus.Pro from the server. Shepard, a key player in map 1 for this team yesterday, didn't really have the strongest tournament. Outside of that, I think he's gone about neutral when it comes around to his KD, but has been quiet in a lot of these big games for them, except for that map 1 yesterday. And the team, no doubt, are looking at him for a big performance today.
Absolutely, 1 versus 3 now. Shepard, a breath away from death, surely just going to be a matter of time. A minute left on the clock, so he can use a few of those seconds, see if he can maybe bait out a kill here, bait out a peek from W7m, but it doesn't look like they are going anywhere. They know they've got their positions, they know they've got their angles, and they can hold on. And this, Des, just goes to highlight a point that I made to you before the cast. Kuman will pick up that final kill. It goes to highlight a point that I made to you before we came live, and that was that the back line for Virtus.Pro today are going to have a really good day, because W7m are going to play aggressive. They are going to find those entry kills. There's no way around it. So Dan, Joystick, players like that getting into those openers, finding those kills is not going to be a guarantee for them. So Virtus.Pro, they need Shepard. They need always stepping up and having a really good game, because they are going to find themselves quite frequently, I would expect, in maybe 2 versus 4, 3 versus 4, and they need those players to be able to get it done and get it over the line.
Bit of tech pause coming in here, but it gives us a really good chance to look back at those 3 rounds, because I think so much has happened. We've seen the same site twice, won by either team. Big differences there in terms of how rounds have played out. In that second round, we touched on the clear that came in. Of course, it was the gym and bedroom site, but the clear that came in on the east side, punishing Nade. Virtus.Pro getting into good crossfire angles very quickly to punish that clash before they could get back into construction. So overall, strengths on both sides. Feeling a little bit like optimistic about Virtus.Pro admittedly coming in. I really thought W7m were going to run away with this game, but off the back of some great plays, especially from Joystick and Shepard, see Virtus.Pro being very competitive in these rounds, which sets us up for an excellent series, Tim.
It does. It's one of those already on Clubhouse that you look at and you feel like this could potentially go the distance. There's just a bit of battle back and forth between the two. As long as Virtus.Pro can keep themselves active, particularly in the beginning of the rounds, that's the real area to watch for, in my opinion, here. That first 60 to 90 seconds. Are Virtus.Pro finding entry kills? Are Virtus.Pro able to take map control during that time? And are Virtus.Pro able to leave themselves with enough time to get themselves into position and create a solid execute onto site? If they can continue doing those things, they will stretch W7m. The players have absolutely got the ability to do that.
I'll tell you what, players are used to sitting in silence during tech pauses, but I don't think the crowd got the memo.
No.
The drums still going, they're still cheering everything like... Again, nothing's actually happening in the game, but they're still losing their marbles.
Since the second the game got passed over to us, this crowd has just been at absolute full volume the entire time. It hasn't stopped, there's been no relaxing, it has been absolutely constant.
And I'm sure it is not going to stop. It feels like being at a football game. I'm serious.
It's unbelievable. It's one of the most amazing things I've seen, you know, inside a Siege. This sort of noise, this sort of excitement and passion it's just wonderful to see.
Here we go. The game is getting back underway, so it should be good. To get things back up on your screen, here we go. Cash, CC, defense coming out in round 4. First time we'll have seen this site on this map, but you the option to go a little bit more direct to site sim, unlike gym and bedroom where you normally have to start clearing out on the east side of the map. Here, the main battleground tends to be inside the garage itself. However, without the Azami on side, it becomes a little bit harder to defend. You still look at things like Wamai that are very, very effective at countering things like Capital that often get brought along to push you towards that side of the map. But as it started out here, very little presence being shown by w7m inside the catwalk itself. Casey's now starting to get himself set up, but no reinforcements, for example. Only one player looking to hold it down. This could get a little bit spicy, and I imagine this is w7m reading into Virtus.Pro's game plan on this map and expecting them to come from master side.
Shepard just going to be rotating over to that CCTV wall. Needs to be careful, of course, because the bandit of Herds is playing in behind there. He's going to hear that the battery goes down, and off goes the exothermic. Easy as that for Herds and Virtus.Pro. I feel like they've let themselves down a little bit there, Des. They've done nothing to deal with that bandit. They've done nothing to make his life difficult. Nobody's gone in underneath to try and prevent him doing that. No use of any EMP gadgets. They don't have any on side. No nades going in from CCTV window, for example. Nothing done to try and shift him. They've basically just gifted them an exothermic.
I mean, their read is absolutely spot on because Virtus.Pro have started things out towards the master side. You've got 3 players starting to square themselves up for a construction push, and immediately getting some of those bandit batteries down onto the construction wall to keep things locked up nice and tight. And I'm with you, like, I really thought things like a Zofia would be great here. Obviously, the Ash got inside instead. Dan's the kind of player he'd look to get inside the blue, get that open up from below, deny the bandit the opportunity to play from that position, and then they start the march directly in towards site. So as it stands right now, Tim, I mentioned in the previous couple of rounds, I want to see more than a couple of angles being used to attack. Here, they're looking at just one, just the construction side of things, which is dreamland for w7m.
And you can see how it's impacted the w7m defense. Hertz is really starting to warm up. It's an absolutely beautiful shot onto Always there. He's looking for the angle just through that small hole in the steel, and he does not find it as Joystick manages to come in and get one. Virtus.Pro, though, as you say, stuck to this push through this single doorway. It is not going to be an easy one for them. w7m, it's allowed them to just sit on site now. They're just holding angles and they're just waiting for the push to come.
They've still got 2 more smokes they can play in the back pocket of the thermite here, so really trying to bait a reaction out of w7m with those first 2 coming out of the jackal of Joystick. But really, w7m said, no, we aren't falling for this bait. We don't need to make an aggressive play here. You guys are the ones trying to force your way in through a single doorway, and there's more of us than there are you.
Casey just holding that angle, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. We're going to find ourselves now 3v2 as Pasha does manage to brute force one on his way in. Shepard's going to rotate and join him, and you've got to wonder why, Des, this wall wasn't opened up 20, 30 seconds ago.
He was electrified earlier in the round, finally got sorted out once Hertz went down, but Shepard is in for 1. Is he good for 2 more? Huge in clutch situations, but w7m are just a little bit too good for that, Tim. They fall 3-1 to the Brazilian side, and if you didn't know it, the crowd has certainly let you know.
Starting to look a little reminiscent of that game earlier against G2, with w7m just finding a little bit of breathing space between them and Virtus.Pro now. They just look electric, Des. It comes into every situation, and I'm looking, sort of expecting w7m to walk away with the kill because they're just hitting every shot. Herds at the minute, absolutely flying. 6 and 3, KZ 5 and 4 as well. 11 between those 2 inside of 4 rounds, and that is a dangerous prospect for Virtus.Pro.
I mean, KZ arguably one of the strongest players through all of group stage. Hertz, you put him on the main stage and he just shines, Tim. We've seen it event after event twice this past year already. That was a filthy shot from KZ to start things off as well. Admittedly, I think Virtus.Pro didn't do terribly there. I think given what they had, which was a single direction to push in after fluffing up, opening up the main breach, they didn't play terribly, but w7m played it better. As said, they knew they had the numbers advantage. They always played out for trades. Just everything was done by the books. Now, Tim, inside 5 rounds, we are going to see all 4 sites on this map. Bar and stage coming out in round 5.
Attackers are heading out to defuse
Yeah,
the
as I say, from the last one, I think really Shepard get that wall open a bit sooner and just put w7m under pressure, because when they can sit like they did, that is when they're going to thrive. So as you say, we go now into round 5, and w7m, they're just really trying to turn up the heat in the kitchen at the minute and make it as uncomfortable as possible for Virtus.Pro.
They've got so much to play behind, though. Yokais from the Echo are just like a staple on this site, it feels like, in competitive play. C4s, I'll give you the same. 2 of those in back pocket. Keep an eye out on when they get deployed throughout this round. You've also got the Solus running around to keep on peeling away that information game for Virtus.Pro. I mentioned the flashes earlier on, still 6 on side. But my worry here is that a lot of the tools that they've got on side aren't really built for the execute. They're built to actually get you to the site itself, and I just feel that all the tools they're coming up against on the other side, sure, Virtus.Pro might start well in the round, but if they don't go into the execute with a massive man advantage, they are going to crumble. And Hertz, well, he's making a fold like a deck chair, Tim. Far too easy to keep on getting these entries time and time again. It's often been Dan falling down early on, but this time it's Pasha. Just
a beautiful shot again. Just you see him using that ability, that knowledge to just know where they're going to be, that prediction, and hitting them with the beautiful pre-fire. So going to have the Claymores out on the outside windows, just preventing that potential jump out from coming out, but I don't think that's really where the danger is going to be for Virtus.Pro.
The danger, honestly, Tim, is inside gym and bedroom right now.
The danger's in the room with them, Des.
It actually is. Is the danger in the room with us, Tim? Yes, it absolutely is.
The danger in this case is in the room.
It looks like they're defending gym and bedroom, given how many players they've got stacked up here. 4 of them in total. You've got Joystick trying to work his way inside around kitchen as well, but for now, w7m don't look too pressured. Actually, upstairs on the site itself may prove to be a different story. That's a really big kill to get. The Yokai's now offline. A second, and Dan's getting deja vu, Tim. You got a 2K here back in the early rounds in this exact position. But one by one, w7m are falling. Now they'll have to step away and turn more towards the C4 in the back pocket of hers to do some damage.
Another good top floor clearance from Virtus.Pro. It looked a little bit shaky to start with, but they played in behind that utility, particularly using the Bees of Grim just to give them the space to get in there, take and win the gunfights. KZ, he's going to be cut down by Always, and that's 3 on the round. And as I said, Virtus.Pro, they're going to need everybody stepping up and going big. Hertz, he's just going to tank the air jab and continue pushing through. He knows he's in a difficult spot here, 1v4. He's just trying to level the odds as much as he can, but even with the jiggle peak, doesn't find his man.
Not much to do. I say not much to do. At least dome down the player on the other side that's been lethal in this round. Always with a 3K. The team do manage to get the diffuser down, Tim, but I think, like you said, this one feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion. There's no way Virtus.Pro inside 20 seconds expose all 3 players to 1 versus 1s, lose them, and see it crumble from there. They've also got the Vertical on the upstairs. They're ready and waiting by the looks of it for the castle barricade to come down. Herd's all too aware, but look, it's the discipline being shown, exposing nothing to the other side, picking up their man, and Virtus.Pro will find their second attacking round. And Tim, that's the key thing to highlight. They are on the attack to start. Being at 2 and 3 right now, not a bad situation to be in.
Not at all. If they could nick away a 3rd round here, I'm sure that they'll have some confidence going onto the defense and playing in their own setups. But yeah, I think a good attack there from Virtus.Pro. It looked a little bit difficult after Herds got that opener. That's the 3rd round in a row that Herds has been able to pick up the entry, or W7M rather. Herds has got 2, KZ1, and again, it put Virtus.Pro on the back foot, but as I said, they need that back line to step up. If Dan can't get it done on the entry, they need somebody else, and that somebody else this time was Always. He got himself a triple, and it opened the round up. It gave them the top floor control, and it also meant they could go down, they could take over site, they could get the diffuser down. It left W7M with very, very few options. So well played from Virtus.Pro. They're going to be looking for more of the same in round 6.
Tell you what, Tim, you best get this kind of passion in Manchester.
The thing, the bar's been set, hasn't it? That's
hasn't it just? How do you follow up
The bar has been set now.
Bless him, Tom Sherlock's got his work cut out for him, that's all I'll be saying.
If I can hear myself thinking, or I can hear Des in my ears, then I'm sorry, but you've fallen below Brazil.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
It is, yeah, a challenge at this point, should we say, Tim? Here we go. Last attacking round coming out then for Virtus.Pro. W7M are looking to get this one in the bag, maintain that strong defender lean that we've seen throughout the tournament, especially for a team that wants to make a strong statement on this map. Yes, it's Virtus.Pro's map pit, but as you said, Tim, in the pre-game, what are you doing taking them onto this map? Because W7M have been known for the longest time to be a sublime clubhouse team. So far looking so good, but not quite out of the woods yet.
No, not at all. I mean, I do wonder about that second half and just exactly how it's going to look when W7M can kind of dictate the pace. They can go in there, they can be aggressive, they can really take the fight to Virtus.Pro a little bit more. It's a little bit tricky on defense to do that because you kind of got to wait for the attackers to present themselves to you. And Pasha is going to present himself wrapped up with a bow on to KZ as he finds himself an opener.
Be serious, man.
It's just,
come on.
It's horrible, Des, it's horrible.
it happens to you in ranked and you rage, and I wouldn't be surprised if
It's just not fair.
the same. It's horrible. I mean, literally, again, we're seeing a big heavy roam coming out across the top floor from w7m. But the one thing I've clocked here, Tim, on the screens being seen in front of us, is that actually the castle, JB92 is the one playing inside of dirt and saying, no, you can't rush him. I'll give my team more than enough time if that's the play that you go for. Half the round's gone by. Virtus.Pro are still trying to crack this top floor. But w7m are almost refusing to find themselves falling back. They managed to get one for free. They hold on to Cash and CC. It's not going to go the same way as last time. That's what they're screaming into the other team's faces.
Philippox is on the flank here. If he doesn't get picked up, it could be dangerous, but they do know. Shepard, Joystick, they managed to chain a couple of together, and all of a sudden, it's exactly the same as the last round. It looks like w7m are on top, but Virtus.Pro dig their heels in and say, absolutely not. We're going to get a couple of kills. We're going to start swinging this one. They've got the mid-floor control now. They can start on the hatches. Des, they've got plenty of time. JV92 and Nade have been forced back into sight. Virtus.Pro need to just take a breath here, or they just need to shoot them through the floor.
Oh, that works too, I suppose. Yeah, that's also we'll take that. A 1-for-1 in the round on a spray through some soft surfacing. Score us down to a 3 versus 1. VP got 40 seconds to play. But Tim, I'd count any w7m player in a 1vx and you'd still give them odds of walking away the winner.
You really would. You know that they've got it in the locker. And right now, JV sees one, but he can't find his shots. He goes for the one, and just before the flash, he manages to hit the head of Dan. He's fighting with blue, and that's where both of the attackers are. Shepard, he locks it out, and that's going to be a 3-3 half for Virtus.Pro. And Des, it's official. We've got a game on our hands.
It took us to the halfway mark to sit at 3-3. Admittedly, we've had quite the speed run so far of these live finals. Across yesterday, even the series earlier on today, G2 collapsing before what has now become arguably one of the strongest rivalries in Rainbow Six Esports. But at 3-3, you get the feeling that we're in for something real special.
It's going to be interesting to see as well. w7m have so far kind of had it all their way. You know, they've had some games where they've just run away with it. The crowd is on their side. All this noise being made. They haven't yet been challenged in front of this noise, realistically. And if Virtus.Pro can push them to the edge, can push them to that point, maybe a little bit of doubt creeps in. Maybe the crowd, as fantastic as it is, plays on their minds a little bit. Everybody's here for us. Are we going to get it done? It's easy for those sort of thoughts to creep in.
The main close our take on round 6, by the way, like the key change there was rather than going across towards gym and bedroom, like I mentioned, w7m just backed their way down red and tried to go down through bar area to get themselves back towards site. But I think Virtus.Pro actually clocked on and red very cleverly in the middle of that round. Okay, they're not falling back through construction in towards gym and bedroom. What have we got to do now? Stick 2 players watching on the downstairs and protect bar, essentially. And that's where they found those 2 mid-round kills. So just a small comment there again around Virtus.Pro's adaptability in rounds where it's maybe been lacking at previous points. They came out very, very strong in that round. But as said, the sides have now switched, and it's w7m's turn to show what they've been cooking for the attacker clubhouse.
Yeah, 30 seconds into the round, you can see w7m already getting themselves established into the map. I suggested this would be the case when they got onto the attack. We'd see them trying to dictate the pace, go in there, take ground, and just remove these Virtus.Pro players as they go. But Virtus.Pro are giving nothing up easily. Always gets spotted out, but still finds his man, picking up a big opener onto Hertz with the headshot. KZ does manage to get Pasha, and now the pressure is mounting for Always. Cut down and dealt with, and this is the sort of pace and pressure from w7m that's going to petrify Virtus.Pro.
It's really good stuff coming out from Philippox, just playing it by the book. How many times have you seen a player getting absolutely torched by Capital Firebolts on catwalk and being forced into a very, very unfavourable position? It's exactly what comes out towards Always. 3 players left on side here. Joysticks on the soul, this is worth noting, can do quite a lot of damage, at least to take away from the info game of w7m. We're halfway into the round and 6 drones have fell so far, but enough for Alive to give w7m the knowledge that they can start looking for this basement execute.
Yep, KZ is going to be just clear-mooring off there, and I like this from w7m, and it's a key component of their game, really. They're not getting carried away. Yes, they will move quickly. Yes, they will move with aggression, but they also know the fundamentals that need to be done. They're not going to get hit on the flank. They've got all the utility out to try and avoid that happening. They know they've got time on the clock. There's a minute 10 left to go. They are just positioning here. They're posturing. They're getting themselves ready. This is phase 2 of the round. This is softening up sight, getting yourself ready, ready for that final execute.
You got Philippos looking at blue hatch, Case looking in towards blue stairs. A couple of players around Kitchen. Got to be so mindful of that C4 if Kitchen's where they want to go. Stepping in. Got the right sort of idea. I think JV's very, very conscious of it. He's looking towards where the EMPs left, and he's got all of them on sides. They could have disabled it out and made a much safer push through. For now, though, they really want this Kitchen wall.
Meanwhile, KZ is making a push down blue stairs, and that's great from w7m. Open up those angles, turn Virtus.Pro on their heels, make them look multiple ways. But with 30 seconds left to go, Virtus.Pro are holding this down pretty well. Joystick's got the lock on KZ in blue. Dan, he's holding down main stairs. He's watching for the drop. But the push comes in from Moto. Nade manages to get himself into sight. KZ with a pick, Shepard with one in return on the trade, but the diffuser is going to start going down. Dan's got to do something. He can do nothing. JB92 finds one. It's all alone for Shepard once again. 1 versus 3, diffuser down and a mountain to climb, but he takes the first step, Des. He finds one. Can he find 2 more?
It's always poor Shepard stuck in these 1vx's, and sadly Tim, as clutch as he might be at the best of times, you're not against any old team here. You are against arguably the best team in the world. That will be proven tomorrow if they make it through this game. One hanging inside of Moto, one more sat actually in Moto itself. Comfortable closeout in their first attacking round for w7m.
Yep, good round from w7m there. They used that mid-round time really well, I felt. They went in, they got the vertical angles they needed. They made it difficult for Virtus.Pro to play where they wanted to. They knew exactly what the plant spot was going to be. And for me, that push round the rear side from KZ was a smart heads-up play. We say it so often, but we don't always see it. And that is push that basement from multiple directions, because straight away it removes Joystick from the fight. He has to watch blue. So now they've got a 3-on-2 to get that diffuser down, and they use the space well.
What I was most impressed by was JV92's patience on the bottom of main stairs. We saw on screen, Dan, he managed to escape Church. You may have looked at that and think, well, surely it's JV's job to get rid of him. He sat bottom main stairs. His job is to protect that main hallway. But the problem was, Joystick, who you rightly touched on, was the one looking to contest him from inside of Armory. And rather than JV saying, well, I know Dan's going to run, I'll take my chances here and go for the gunfight and maybe get traded, he waited for the whole team to say, I'm ready. We're pushing Moto, we're pushing blue, we're challenging Joystick. That now frees you up to start your march forward. And I think so many teams make that critical error of getting just a little bit trigger happy, of wanting to take these gunfights and say, oh, an opportunity has arisen, only to then get punished for it. And that composure, that discipline is what is not only making the difference here today, but for me is what will make the difference going into tomorrow if they win this series.
Yeah, very possibly. It's just, like you say, such a big factor of w7m's play. Here we go again then, round 8, it's going to be down into the basement. Virtus.Pro being stubborn, wanting to stick with this. They obviously feel that they can get it done. Maybe they feel it was a little bit closer than it looked last time around, but it's going to be down there we go, and we'll see whether they can hold on. A little bit less commitment this time from Virtus.Pro to the rest of the map. We saw last time, always, Pasha, they were out there, they were roaming, they were trying to find out those opening picks. It didn't quite go to plan for them. They got one, but no more. So this time, Virtus.Pro played much more of a turtle defense.
I think we've seen that from both teams, right? The variation between extending out aggressively into the map and then in the next round, turtling things back down, trying to get the feel for each other and how these halves play out, because I can guarantee it's very unlikely these teams have had much chance to scrum against each other. Coming from the same group, knowing they're both in playoffs, they're both going to the live stage, zero chance there is any intel really available. It would have been the kind of thing where you scrim teams from other groups on the assumption that you wouldn't then play against them later in the tournament. This has been pretty quick round, mind you. I think very quickly w7m realised that actually, yes, Virtus.Pro titled up on site, and you can start getting yourself set up once again for a pretty timely execute.
Yeah, it's just efficient use of the drones. They've got 5 left on the board still. They're all out there and active, and w7m just playing in behind that information. 30 seconds, we're confident it's clear. Bang, right we go. We've taken top floor, we've taken mid floor, we're opening hatches. Virtus.Pro, they've still got 5 on the board, but they've got a lot of time to survive here. Shepard is playing in and around Dirt Tunnel. There's not looking like there's going to be too much of a push in that direction from w7m so far, but otherwise, everybody from Virtus.Pro is there, locked and loaded inside of Church and Arsenal.
It's down to positions once again. You've got JV this time looking towards hatch, Philippos on main stairs, KZ coming towards blue. They're getting that surround set up once again. This really will test Virtus.Pro's mettle here. In a straight up 5 versus 5 on site itself, how do you fare? So far a 1-1 between the two.
Here we go then. This is what it's going to come down to. 40 seconds left. The push comes in. Pasha finds Nade. JB92 onto Joystick. This kill's going in every direction here, Des. Dan manages to find one. Pasha a second for the round, taking Philippox down. It's all up to JB92. 1v3 and super low health. Virtus.Pro are not doing any more than they need to. And Shepard with a beautifully thrown smoke canister there, and what a view we had of it. JB92's POV as it just sailed into his feet, got the job done. Virtus.Pro, they were confident in their church and Arsenal, and they got it done at the second time of asking.
So much pinned on Dan there as well, just playing inside of Arsenal on the Warden. Was in a brilliant position to cover not only down the main corridor, which helps protect Pasha inside of Church, but also applies pressure in towards Blue. And he plants his feet, he gets a couple of kills, he denies so many other threats, so Pasha can just sit down there on bomb chassis, pick up a couple of kills inside of Arsenal, inside of Church, sorry, and that is the round pretty much done and dusted. A really solid defense, and Virtus.Pro saying, hey, we can play a 5v5 hold completely fine. If we sit, we play defensive, things will go our way. However, that may vary going on to different sites, Tim. Now we go towards Cash and CC. I mentioned before, it's one of those more exposed to the element sites. We could get stung here. Well, the beast that you see on your screen right now.
This is it. I think with Virtus.Pro now having to push out into the map, they've had their church and Arsenal, they've got it done. We are on a two-round rotation, so of course once you win a site, you got to play 2 others before you're allowed to go back there. So now Virtus.Pro don't have a choice. It's going to be up to the top floor. CCTV and Cash, likely followed by Jim and Ben.
I love the visible disappointment. It's like they've lost everything on the fans' face every time w7m drop a round or a kill. It's
honestly, the investment of the fans in, like you say, every kill, every move, every peak, every piece of utility. You know, these fans are just hanging on the edge of their seats.
We're really seeing Virtus.Pro play more defensively here. I really love what we're seeing coming out of the other side of w7m. The Monty being brought along in this round. We've seen Monty used to various degrees of effect throughout the competition, I think we can say, Tim. Some teams, no success with it. Other teams, great success. Where I think it really comes in handy is when a team isn't going absolutely nuts on a really wide roam across the entire map. And knowing here that we're seeing a little bit out towards your inventory, but mainly around the site itself, I think matching slow with slow is a great idea.
It's not the point of the mirror window, but I think we've just seen a new record for the least time survived by a mirror window. As soon as it was deployed there, they were already in possession. w7m got it hit, got it taken out. So we haven't seen a successful breach yet. Philippox did remove the exothermic, so it hasn't been lost. There are still 2 in pocket, but w7m not dealing with this main breach overly quickly.
I mean, to be fair, Virtus.Pro didn't deal with it at all, Tim. So I think even an attempt may take 2 minutes feels like an improvement. Joystick starting things out onto Herds, who has been very quiet to seeing w7m move over onto the attacking side. Not quite seeing the lofty highs that we saw in the first quarter of this game. Nade's got himself moving up. Problem is, Tim, he is going to be pushed back at every angle. A great C4 and a follow-up shot coming on through will put the Monty on sub 50 HP. About 40 at this point. Another C4. A few bullets will be enough to see him dispatched.
Just lost 2 impact nades, though, that really could have helped to deal with that shield. Joystick dies with them in pocket, and also some goo mines, again, a direct counter to that Monty. So that, inadvertently by JB92 there, could have been a really big pickup for them. 4 versus 4, 58 seconds left, and w7m uncharacteristically just feeling like they're stalling out a little bit.
Well, the hack coming in onto hack from the KB is actually really handy here as well, because no doubt those evil eyes, you can see one up there in a pretty good spot as well. Everything to really be shown and revealed here, so Shepard's got to be so careful about the pressure that will now start coming on through. Not too much utility left outside of flashes and smokes to play behind for w7m, but it could be enough. These 2 Titans are going 1-for-1, time and time again.
Always does an amazing job to get 1 kill and slow down the push, but w7m continue the brute force. JV, low health, Philippox, low health, even lower as more damage is done, leaving us 2 versus 3. Dan and Pasha trying their best to hold on here, but the pressure keeps mounting as w7 get in, they get it down, but there goes another. Pasha, 1v3 to a 1v2. Can he close this out? Philippox is down. The push is going to come. The shot does not find it. JV2 picks up the kill, and that is an unbelievable finish from w7m. JV92.
What the bloody Nora just happened? You're pushing into a shotgun at super close range with no idea where he is. And the smoke is going to see you first. He sees the barrel, he sees the leg, he sees everything. No ping, no nothing. No peekers advantage here, Tim. And JV deletes him. What a clutch coming out. Was almost back on the side of Pasha. I was ready to sing his praises. We've seen him get so invested, so emotional for a team that's normally quite stoic. But that is sure as hell to shut him up. You are far away from home. This is Brazil. I absolutely love that, because all tournament long, that means it in my head. Come to Brazil or Brazil will come to you. Well, we've come there, Tim, and they're still coming to us.
They just don't stop. JV92 with a great finish there. Such low health and getting the job done. Pasha was as well, to be fair. It was whoever landed that first bullet. And JV92 with a brilliant pre-fire. Just a little bit of intel, a little bit of intuition maybe, telling him where Pasha would be located. So we have got an unreal matchup in front of us here. It's Clubhouse, it's W7M5, it's Virtus.Pro 4 on the scoreboard, but neither team is ready to back down.
Woo! I'll tell you what, Tim, it's already hot in the venue, but I'm
getting pretty warm up here, it's fair to say.
I mean, when you've got like 9,000 people going absolutely bananas at everything that happens in the game, it's no surprise at all. It's going to keep on coming down to that. Now, the Warden. We spoke about this so many times throughout this tournament, Tim, especially on this map. In a spot where he's dug in on red, sat behind a shield. It is from a bedroom site. Look at what's on the other side. W7M have got the Thatcher on side. You time this well, a couple of teams have done it extremely well at this competition. You get the EMP on top of the Warden, disable the gadget, flashes follow through, he is dead. However, there can always be other things to cause a distraction. There can be the rest of the team ready to soak up any attention that Warden's pulling, capitalise on the back of it, net themselves a couple of kills, and things can fall apart very quickly. However, not too many players of Virtus.Pro on that side of the map. It is only always a joystick.
Yeah, you see the problem with opening the thermite breach upside down as well there. You just get left with that little sort of vault panel at the bottom, because of course it doesn't go all the way down, it's upside down. So W7M might have something to just try and work around later in the round if they decide to work on Jacuzzi. But for the time being, the majority is looking towards logistics, cash, CCTV, and those windows.
It's a bit tough because they want to go fast here with things like the Blitz on side, but it's a very slow comp coming out of Virtus.Pro. The Goyo on side, the C4s, the mute slow down information. The Warden to try and negate any cheese plays, but it can still happen. Here we go, here comes the juke train, Leap boxes straight in, finds one for himself, won't be able to do that for very long, makes it a 2, could have found himself a third there, almost. I think had a spot to catch out the player that was dropping down a gadget, but a 4v3, W7M in control, Shepard Bulls as well, and the W7M Bulls, they do not stop charging.
The momentum is terrifying right now as they just head on into sight and they rip it apart, piece by piece by piece. KZ with a double at the end to close it out, and W7M, they move on to match point.
I was nervous for W7M. I thought Virtus.Pro's setup was very dug in. I mentioned about the Goyo canisters, the mute jammers, the C4s, everything to keep W7M at bay, but they still find a way. Tack timeout coming in for Virtus.Pro. They're down 6-4. 2 rounds in a row. They need to win on the defense to send us through to overtime and ensure W7M don't take their map pick.
Yeah, I don't know whether this tack timeout may be just a little bit late in the day. You know, you've got that opportunity now. It's very difficult to time these, I think, when you've got such a close game. Because don't forget, you take a tack timeout and speak to your team, but the other team's coach gets to have that same input as well. So at 4-4, 5-4, you don't really want to give them that opportunity. So Virtus.Pro leaving it until their what could potentially be very last opportunity. 6-4, W7M, they just need one more round. Virtus.Pro starting to struggle, it feels a little bit, with the pace of W7M, particularly that last round. W7M getting in behind for Leapox. We see the replays here. Manages to get a double. Left on low health, but it doesn't matter. The damage is done. And W7M, as you can see then, they smell the blood in the water. They know that it's there for the taking, and they just go in and rip them to shreds.
Delete them, the only way of thinking about it, Tim. And for those curious, by the way, whenever we get to map point, you always see the crowd get their phones out. They start waving bye-bye.
Yeah, I love that.
To the other team, just being like, see ya, bye-bye, ta-ra. And it's become quite a consistent thing now. I don't know if you'll see it every single map point. If this goes to 6-5, for example, we'll find out, I guess, at the end of this round, if we do see Virtus.Pro manage to pull one back. But Tim, to be a defense, back down into the basement where we've seen both teams have some pretty good success Last time round it was Pasha and Dan that really won things out for the team. 2K each, one inside of Arsenal, one inside of Church.
Locate a bomb.
I expect though W7M will be able to adapt to this. I was speaking to, I want to say it was Fresh a bit earlier on, it may have been someone else, but essentially saying it doesn't matter what you prep against W7M, every single round, every single map they play, even if it's the same map, there's always something new being brought along, so it's so hard to adapt.
I think every team in the world right now knows when you sit down in those 5 seats opposite W7M, you have to bring 100%. Nothing less will do against this Brazilian team right now. We've seen it throughout the year, and they just continue doing it. They continue delivering. Herds, he's going to get himself aggressively into the map. They are attacking onto Church and Arsenal once again. We saw them take ground. I've mentioned already, they don't get carried away. They still cover the flanks. They still put the claymores down. They still do the fundamentals. And you see it from Herds again then. He gets in, and he's up on a counter in kitchen. He's not going to leave himself, you know, open to that easy nitro.
Why would you? I mentioned about JV's patience. It just always comes down to that again. They're just cautious, but you wouldn't guess it with how sometimes it feels like you've got 10 players coming at you out of every single wall inside the map. Still very reminiscent of the last time we saw this side attacked into. It's quite quick from the side of W7M. Got themselves control that is needed. A couple of hatches opened up, still kitchen closed up for now, but truthfully, Tim, a lot of the action has not revolved around kitchen at all. It's mainly been around that Church triple wall, it's been around Moto, it's been around Blue. Bottom main also having an impact as well, no doubt, but things might be changing here.
Hertz is going to be pushing through now into Moto, just seeing if he could catch somebody out. I think it's not going to be the teeth of the push. He was just hoping for an early pick to start things off. Leapok's going to be holding that bottom of main position, wanting to open the wall. There go the sellers, and that is just going to give those long lines of sight. And I think a little bit of an attempt for some denial comes out, but it will be no good as JV92, he kicks things off with a kill onto Always.
I think before Always went down, he managed to impact them off the wall as well, which is a real stinger. They dropped every salvo there at once, so things now are turning instead towards the Exothermics. Joystick finds himself on the deck. 4v3 for W7M.
Yeah, this is not great for Virtus.Pro, lose this one, and they will find themselves a map down and moving on to Chalet. KC, I don't think that they know that he's creeping down Dirt Tunnel here. He's going to have an absolute field day, Des. He's just going to be in there for a freebie. Finds one, leaves us now effectively one of Virtus.4. Pasha manages to pick up Nade. He's going to need a lot more than that. 3 more to be precise. Closed down by JV92, and that is W7M taking what would normally be considered their best map in the pool, and Clubhouse is theirs once again.
There's just something special about this team, Tim. Home soil, hometown. W7M are a team, an organisation based in Sao Paulo. We've hit the live finals, and this team have gone back to that form that we have seen so many times this year. Say what you want about groups. It's really starting to turn into one hell of a last dance.
Been unreal so far, Des.
They have, and I'm sure it will continue. Let's head down to the desk for their thoughts on that first map.
You know, the song goes blinding lights. This is more deafening roars. Is what we have here at Six Invitational 2024. Sao Paulo has made itself heard. And definitely have W7M against Virtus.Pro. It got close, genuinely, every single round, one after the other, and then W7M ran away with that one attacking round on Cash and server. It's beautiful to witness. We'll break it all down here on the analyst desk. I'm your host. With me are Fresh and Fabian. Fabian, please walk me through it, because this was an intense first map.
So it's glaring differences between the playstyle, right? Virtus.Pro, they never allowed W7M to take control really in their defenses, because W7M, they tried to contest and then tried to waste time. Those were the 2 key things that W7M tried to do. Early contesting, falling back, waste time, have layer after layer, the basement around there peeking outside, they have mirror windows on site, everything is just there to waste Virtus.Pro's time. So it's just such big difference between these 2 teams and how they want to play it. While Virtus.Pro is more laid back, sit back and relax.
Yeah, and I think the big difference between these 2 teams was the attacks, ultimately. Yeah. Obviously, Virtus.Pro achieved 3 attacks, which I thought they punished the W7M mistakes really well, punished some of the aggressions and almost lazy flanks that was coming out from W7M when W7M were defending. But as soon as W7M got on their attacks, the big thing for me was their pacing. The fact that they could start out fast, achieve a couple of kills, completely slow it back down, regroup, and then go again. Set up their execute with that man advantage and their decision making. So for an example, when they were attacking that CCTV round, as you mentioned, it did come down to a clutch. But right at the very start of that, Milosh, there was a kill down in the basement. It was Hertz that died. 3 W7M members within 20 seconds were in the basement hunting this guy. And the big bonus of that, they had the Dokkaebi. They took the call, they took the information, and they got the Maestro cams onto site, which ultimately helped them facilitate that round win.
It's just so enjoyable to watch what W7M play just because of how intelligent they are. As you said there, they're just changing the plan on the go. If we look at Virtus.Pro, they follow the checklist. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, and there's no tempo change, no change of the list to begin with. Even when they go into manpower disadvantage, they just keep pushing the same thing. Keep going as a group, try to pick W7M apart. It didn't work out. It ultimately came down to just not being able to pick W7M apart.
It's tough when you're facing off against a team that is literally built out of reactive armor. All of it, that is all of W7M. Every time you try to chuck something at them, they are ready and they bounce it right back at you. And that is what we expect out of W7M. That style that you mentioned, Fresh, that like start, stop, start, that reminds me of FaZe Clan in 2018 that made them so powerful. If I were to be an old man for a moment, that's what I remember, and that was so oppressive in the day, and now W7M take it to another level. Perfection at every stage.
Yeah, but it's small things as well. Look at the attacks in W7M. We saw one round where they're clearing for the basement, and we see the Capitao using his fire arrows within the first minute to kill a guy off rafters.
Yeah.
Those things are so important because, yeah, you have a plan with those Capitao balls. You want them for something, for the execute. 100% guarantee that. But they're not afraid of using their utility when they deem it necessary. That checklist that Virtus.Pro follows, W7M, they will just, let's add a new box to that checklist, follow that through.
And that's because they understand that ultimately Siege as an FPS is a numbers game. That example you talked about got W7M to a 4v3, and then they can play out from that, and that's their key win condition.
Somehow, it turns out that this W7M squad has mirrored G2 in many ways and gone above and beyond them, which is the round and the game is never over until we say it is. And that's what we have in the server. Though, gentlemen, we'll be back to discuss map number 2 with you all here, but we have a illustration with our good friend Alpha Map on the other side.
Thank you very much, Milosh. And indeed, I have a illustration. Now, let's take a look at how Virtus.Pro is able to roam clear the best fragging team in the world. We're taking a look at a basement defense from W7M, but extends through all 3 floors because they want to deny entry. They are holding strong position: gym, bedroom, office, construction, and cache. Now, how do you roam clear that as an attacker? You need 2 entries. The first one on the windows, pressuring gym and bedroom. Second one on office hatch, ready to drop. Then you need 2 cutoffs. One from outside on main stairs window is going to punish anyone running down the main stairs. And this is key. The 4th player through server wall is going to pressure cache, punish red stairs rotate, punish garage rotate. Now let's take a look at the round, how it plays out. Gym windows, Pasha rotating main stairs window, joystick on server wall. Now, we take a look at Dan. First kill onto the bedroom player. This is key because it enables always to flash and drops office at the same time, punishing the office player. Now you need to remove the 3rd defender. He's getting Jackal track, and take a look at this amazing pinch from Dan here from gym window and always bedroom. That's a 2v1 and they get a pick. And now this is key. Joystick, I told you he's watching for garage retake, but he's also watching for red stairs retake. And this is where he gets the 4th pick. Now, it's 1 minute, 11 seconds, 5v1, amazing clear from Virtus.Pro that you can retry at home. If you want to see more, map 2 from Virtus.Pro and W7M is coming after a short break.
After a map one that went the way of W7M, the hometown heroes have taken it. Now it's on to our second one in the series. Can it end there? Will VP bounce back? More questions to ask, and maybe we'll find those answers in the game itself. Welcome back to the analyst desk. Got Milos with me, Fresh and Fabian. And the biggest question of the hour is, why Chalet, Fresh? Why pick that map?
Because it's #1 preference map for W7M, Milos, but that's not the big question. The big question is, why did VP allow it through the map veto? And the reason for that is the fact that W7M showed Nighthaven Labs earlier. Previously, it was a map that VP were happy to allow through the veto, knowing it was W7M's supposed permaban, but they've gone out, destroyed G2 on it, and that must have scared Virtus.Pro shitless. They've had to ban away Nighthaven Labs, and therefore left open Chalet for W7M to pick.
Yeah, and all this prep that Virtus.Pro have done, this is not done now or like an hour ago. This is the entire night that their support staff have spent, and all of that changed when we watched G2 play.
Any favorite side here for W7M? Who benefits from it?
So I think both teams have positives from it. W7M's defense, they will keep contesting Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro's pros will be here that they don't have to take as much map control to be able to use their execute, which is what Virtus.Pro is strong at, because they can kind of sit outside the windows on most bomb sites and then execute straight into the building, and that's the execute in itself, which means no space needs to be taken by Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, so I think we're expecting whoever comes out on the attack generally is going to be the best, and is going to set themselves up nicely to win this map.
All right, I think that is the big question. Then what happens on the attack? It's been a big looming question over the entire tournament. So our final thoughts before we go into the game. Fresh, your idea?
I can't see anything but a W7M 2-0.
You know, Gassan, I got told that there's a man called Jinxie who thought he could take my job, you know? He thought he could be a desk analyst. I probably think you could, Jinxie. It's not that hard of a job. One thing is for certain, you'll never be a 3-time world champion like me.
Thank you very much, Fabian. The true Fabian showing here on the desk. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is time to get into game. Who takes it? Who goes to the grand final? Back to our casters.
Very good, Fabi. It's been 2 weeks. He hasn't gone off at someone yet. It had to be someone, and it can't be G2, Tim.
We all know that Fabian is inevitable.
Fabian is indeed inevitable. You know what else is, Tim? Chalet! It's the second map of this series. I am worried for Virtus.Pro. We've seen this played 10 times over the last year by W7M. They have a 90% win rate on it. They have won it 9 of the 10 times they played, Tim. Quick maths. That is not a team with those kind of stats that I'd ever fancy playing on this map.
No, this is it, and it was, of course, their pick. You know, Virtus.Pro went into Clubhouse, thought they could get the job done there, but what a gamble it was, because I mean, it's always difficult, because you know W7M, right, you ban Nighthaven, they'll take Chalet, you ban Chalet, they'll take Nighthaven. They always have something in the bank when it comes to map picks, and it's an uphill battle now for Virtus.Pro.
Well, you know what this means. You can hear the crowd building up behind us. You know that this means that map 2 is abound. Let's get our way into Chalet. There is some real chills every time I turn around and look at the light show, the Jumbotron, the crowd, everything. I'm just like, oh. Imagine if every map ever could get introduced that way. Well, I'll never get bored of it.
I've been sat in the crowd for a good few of the games. You know, you can't help but when you're here. And when those lights drop and you're down there with everybody else, it goes really, really dark. It's almost pitch black, and it's like, oh, yeah, it really does just set you up for the game, right?
Well, what, are you surprised?
I was going to say, we're going to have the bands coming in. We know that Virtus.Pro are going to take Ying and Azami. Yep. So we'll see who W7M take out of the pool. I mean, they could take Azami and force Virtus.Pro's hand a little bit, I guess, but I don't think they will. Grim will be taken out by W7M, and then their defender will be...
Well, we saw Tubarão last time because the Tubarão-Kai combo is really powerful. So banning away one of them, often it's been the Kai more so than the Tubarão. Taking away those at least weakens that combo, but instead going to go for the Lesion. Now, Lesion for me is like probably not really secretly, but kind of got under the radar when it comes to banning. One of the strongest and highest picked operators that we have seen at this tournament. Very good at slowing down the air quotes rush meta that we've seen attacking teams have to employ to get over things like Solus, like Azami, like Fenrir.
Well, it's really interesting to me as a ban, because these two teams, their styles are kind of like oil and water. You've got Virtus.Pro with the older, sort of methodical, slower style that we've seen, and then you've got W7M who just want to like run at barricades, go fast, get get kills. So you've got these two contrasting styles, and you can look at the Legion in two different ways. W7M could have used it, much in the way that FaZe did, and we mentioned in map 1, to lean into that slow play style of Virtus.Pro and slow them down even more, you know, to a critical point. Or alternatively, is that W7M signaling, hey, we want to bring a bit more of our gameplay here, we want to bring a bit more aggression here, and so we're going to take the Legion out to ensure that we can do that.
This is Brazil, and what a wonderful country and tournament it's proving to beat in. Now, I go back and look at the stats earlier for Chalet. I mentioned how successful, how dominant W7M have been on this map. Interestingly, the only team they lost to at Gamers 8 was M80 on this very map. On the other side of things for Virtus.Pro, they've played it 7 times. They have won that 4 times. Quick maths, 57.7%, that is the win rate for them, Tim. So not terrible, but still not W7M level, is why I'm feeling a little bit nervous. But when you take a look down at the actual preference, i.e. how much these teams actually like to go to this map, it's quite a midfield map for both teams. It's not a super strong like a, you must ban this against us or we're going to slam you on it. Virtus.Pro probably coming into this thing, and you know what? Both teams have got a good chance coming away the winner on this one. W7M, they start on the attack.
And there's the aggression that I was talking about. Herds just signalling there, we're going to play this quick, you better be ready for us. We know there's no goo mines for us to contest, so how are you going to slow us down? Herds straight in, looking for that blue stairs cut off. So if anybody tries to go up or down, anybody tries to rotate, he knows there's somebody there, he's heard them, he goes to the kill. He's actually going to take a lot of damage, and Virtus.Pro standing up well, it's that early push.
This is what they do, right? They sit and they let you come to them, but when Herds comes running, there's very little you can do except just fall over and die, it seems. I was going to touch upon the Lion and the Decabi coming along here. When you see Grim band away throughout this tournament, we have seen the two come forward as a pairing, kind of going back to the old school ways, the Lion and the Decabi. Because Lion and Grim, very similar in terms of operators. You sit yourself at a spot, find yourself moving away, guess what? You're going to get stiffed out and put down pretty darn quickly. Just a very good and aggressive combo coming out when you've got these two operators on side.
JB92 just continuing that work on the top floor. I think W7M happy at this point that they've got the map locked down, but guess what, they don't have the map locked down. Pasha on the Goyo has managed to slip through the net a little bit, I think, up on the top floor, and that could be a really important flank as this round progresses. Herds, he's trying to use that utility to just push anybody away from blue stairs and move his way down. There's nobody there to challenge him though.
But again, it's about looking at where the rest of the team is here, where they're starting to get themselves set up. In 4 versus 4, you've got enough here to make things work. Yes, it's going to be a little bit risky. I was going to say you can see the 2-man stack coming down from lobby side. Herds exposed himself a little bit too soon there. It forces JB into action. He gets one back.
There's been some great droning from W7M there. They picked up Pasha on the flank, and as he came through dining, they made a meal of him and they shut him down. And that brings us to 3 versus 3 for Leapox. He's going to be looking at potentially pushing main stairs here. I'm interested to see where this W7M push develops. They're not really going to have multiple angles at the minute. They're just going for brute force, but I think they've just dropped away to that main breach as well.
It's JV on the hatch here that really going to be being protected. For Leapox has got the blue cover. You've got one watching hatch for connection at the same time. This should let the diffuser go down, but it's the retake you've now got to worry about. Dan explodes for they work their way past JV, and now the retake comes up behind as well. Joystick up through blue, steps across for Leapox, puts him in the dirt. It's 2v2, Tim.
And there is work to be done here for Virtus.Pro, and not a lot of time to do it as JB gets 1, he gets 2, closes out the round for W7M, and that is the perfect start for the Brazilian side on Chalet.
That feels like a bit of a slip from VP. You knew that JV had been sat watching that hatch. Dan had to dance around him to get the first kill that opened up that post plan. So what does he do? All right, there's a bit of pressure on top floor. We've dealt with Joystick. They only sent one guy to come and retake top floor. Wow, I'll just drop when it feels convenient, and VP seemingly forgot that him being on that connector hatch would mean he could drop through and instantly challenge onto the diffuser if a disable attempt was coming on through. Great stuff, awesome first round. W7M, unsurprisingly, off to a 1-0 start.
Yeah, certainly not what Virtus.Pro were looking for. They're already on the back foot with it not being their map choice, and with that 90% win rate sitting for W7M, they need to be picking up as many defensive rounds as they can, because it's going to get even more difficult in the second half. W7M, all credit to them. It was a great push. Like you say, just using those angles fantastically. The plant spot, we don't often see that plant spot. It's not uncommon, but it's not like the go-to. And I actually quite like it. Get yourself behind the metal bookcase. There's not really too much that can be done other than from connector, and you can hold that from main breach. So it just worked really, really well for W7M. Props to them.
Attackers are moving to defuse the
Righty. I'm not going to lie, Tim. I didn't hear the last half of your sentence because the crowd was too loud. That's becoming I've literally got it whacked up to like high volume.
We're up to 11 here, Des.
And the crowd just always want to be one step ahead, it feels, Tim. Always one step ahead. Here we go. Another fun little battle for you, actually. 2 players on the side of w7m have IQ as their most played attacker at this tournament. A lot of respect being shown up in there for things like Valkyrie and the definitely lesser picked Echo as well. Just really gives them a lot of information, let the team figure out exactly where to move and where to go. Of course, not so much able to deal with Legion, so maybe that points to why it's a ban being taken away.
KZ up onto the rooftop, just paying attention to those windows. Again, w7m very much on top of the fundamentals. They're going to want to take top floor. Nade is trying to work his way in through Solarium window as well. Dan is just facing up to that challenge for the time being in Library.
Great play.
Just really trying to, exactly that, he's just holding a lot of space here, is Dan.
They press Dan, and at the same time, the E1D comes out, so he's forced to just hold. He can't keep on moving and look for a swing onto the double window and off his balcony, for example. Just this sync coming in between players swinging and utility being used by the side of w7m. I've touched on it a few times, but the patience and that team sync is unbelievable.
Virtus.Pro have done a good job to hold off in the face of that team unity coming in from w7m here. Dan managing, even after all that pressure, Des, to get himself the opener onto KZ. Great start for Virtus.Pro. And w7m at this point, for one of the first times, are actually really struggling to get inside of the map.
Oh, and always just ready and waiting for the drop from hers to come on through. Punishes him hard, 5v3, 4vp. Looks like the kind of round they can convert into a win. Why do I do this, Tim? Why do I even say the line? Because you just know. Again, it's w7m. Every player, massive clutch potential. Pasha's got himself in a good spot. Felipox here could expose himself to be a little bit in hot water, but going to vault himself over the balcony instead, looking in towards lobby. Knows Swan, who's pushing in through bar, has managed to get through the Fenrir as well. The FNAT now left in his wake, always so close. Coming into a 1 versus 1, almost finds a 2K spray, but Dan gets his man. Suddenly a second one rolls on through. It feels like finally Virtus.Pro have got a bit of joy in this map and will bring us to a 1-on-1 scoreline, Tim.
Yeah, and I think the problem for w7m here has been that inability to take map control, really. They've never made any realistic push in towards site. It's now a 1v4. Nade can look through site all he wants. It doesn't really matter if he picks up a kill or two. He's unlikely to win the round from this position. And w7m have never threatened site. Shepard on Castle, he's full health because he's sat in the kitchen the whole time. He's been making himself an omelette or something, Des. He's happy away. There's been no pressure on him whatsoever.
The main thing they could really look for in the previous round was the DKB and the Lion combo, but in this round, only the Lion being on side. They saw the push on towards Dan. He just sat behind a reinforcement, was like, man, no bother, they can't hit me here, I'll just sit and wait. And really, that's all they had. A couple of flashes, of course, to play behind as well, but not too much really being brought along there by w7m to punish the roamers on the side of Virtus.Pro. And a good, convincing round for the European team.
Yeah, Virtus.Pro winning a good couple of gunfights there as well. Really important ones, particularly Dan. We saw how under pressure he was. He had it from Library double. He had Herds out on balcony. There was so much pressure towards Mezzanine, but he managed to dance around those nades that were coming in and just got himself into a position to get that opening kill. Great stuff from Dan. Really set Virtus.Pro up best foot forward. So we move into round 3, and this time it's going to be bar and gaming.
My main worry is the evolution that you see from w7m across the map. Yes, we saw Virtus.Pro start pretty well on Clubhouse 2. We had the 3-3 split, and we thought, great, game in our hands here. As soon as the side switched, the whole dynamic changed. It's really started to get a read on their opponents. And my fear is you're going to see exactly the same here. Virtus.Pro, I really hope prove me wrong. I'd love a third map in this series, but again, it's w7m.
I think everybody would at this point because we know how much of a treat it's going to be, but it's a long road ahead and a long way to go. Virtus.Pro, they take us to round 3. It is going to be that bar and gaming defense, which is interesting for them because it's going to create, you know, this opportunity really for them to hold the same sort of spaces. It's a little bit of, you know, rinse and repeat. They were trying to hold a Library last time. They were trying to hold on to Mezzanine last time, and it's going to be the same this time around.
Looking more towards that Buck being brought along. We didn't see too much of it actually back on the first map, and I'm kind of surprised by that. Buck has been like the most played attacker throughout the tournament. Yet in this series, pretty invisible. I think on this map it's really going to help. Admittedly, back on Clubhouse, not too effective when you think about the prominence of the downstairs side, but here, almost everything is destructible. So that's what I'm keeping a close eye on, is where does Nade get to? What do they open up? No doubt it's going to be in and above sight, but can they do it without losing in too early on?
just seen a little bit of a rotate on the top floor. Pasha's kind of given up on the master bedroom side, and that might give W7M just a little bit of space to start moving in. We can see they've got the drones over that side, and they need to really get in, sweep across that top floor, and then start pressuring this trio up at the top. But for the minute, JV92, he's focused on that library double window. KZ is there as well, and the entire push is coming towards this bottom side. Dan does manage to pick up Herds, and it's another good entry for Virtus.Pro.
Is Dan going strong this map? It was map 1 yesterday that we were looking at the boys and saying, we're not seeing Dan, Pasha and Always really getting themselves involved. But across the tournament, Dan has been formidable. Here at 4-on-1, could be the start of a good thing for the European side. Phone call coming out from JV here. Immediately there's a move, but Virtus.Pro, they snap shut like a Venus flytrap and catch 2 players in their web.
W7M have done nothing to disrupt Virtus.Pro, and that's why I mentioned that master bedroom side. They haven't really recognised, I don't think, that the space was there for them to push into. And Virtus.Pro, they've been able to close out a flawless round in round 3 because they were able to hold on to that trinity of operators up on the top floor, keep library locked down, and they also kept W7M entertained there and just prevented them looking elsewhere in the map. So W7M not really recognising that there was maybe an opportunity to move from elsewhere.
I really thought here, I know they're only down 2-on-1, it's not the end of the world for W7M, but I really thought we'd see a attack timeout because the energy in those last 2 rounds, despite what I said about, oh, you know, can you really afford to get too excited for Virtus.Pro? I think you can. What has really changed is that taking away the Decabi, we've only really had the line on side to look to try and punish those out on the roam, and it's been a little bit half and half. We saw the Decabi in the last round, the call came through. Immediately, Virtus.Pro get 2 kills. They know the swing is coming. They've been ranged far too many times by Decabi. This time they ain't picking up. Instead, putting down those that are trying to aggress onto them. So I think you've got to see a little bit of a change in tack here coming out from W7M. They may well be able to win down here in the basement once again, but I worry about the following 2 rounds. That is where we've got to see something change. Otherwise, I could see them going down 4-2 here, and it would be a strong second half of Virtus.Pro.
Certainly would. It will give them a good foundation to work from. Now then, we're going to have a top floor presence once
New
again,
animation, Tim.
We love the animation.
This time, I love the animation.
I played a little bit of Rainbow Six Small as well.
Small. I love it.
Played a little bit. Very entertaining.
A little run around, can't complain too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, if Rainbow Six is available, that's what you want to play.
Make sure there's no competition. There's no competition. So, round 4 is going to be down to the basement once again. It's going to be wide. Always just getting a little bit cheeky out of library double. And I like that, Des. Virtus.Pro, we talk about them being slow, methodical, but they're starting to feel that confidence, maybe bring that little bit of aggression into things as well. And let W7M know that they're going to take the fight to them. They're not going to have it all their own way.
Well, had that main breach opened up now. Always again starts out strong, and it's the ace falling down, which can be a stinger, because really, you're turning towards the ace almost here as you're pushed to come inside a trench. Now, admittedly, Virtus.Pro have done a little bit of a helping hand here to W7M. They've got half of trench opened up. One of the north-facing walls is also left soft, but it's all by design because Virtus.Pro want to play around this area. So I think they're going to have to try and force them through the main breach here, Tim, and normally a shield operator will be the go-to for a lot of teams looking to make an execute into here work, unless make a push down the main stairs like we saw out of W7M previously.
There is the potential for W7M to reuse that push, as you say. They were quite masterful in their approach to it, and there wasn't really an answer from Virtus.Pro, so I hope they've got something in mind for that coming along again, and it just shows the speed of adaptability that's needed from teams that are going to go far in tournaments like the Six Invitational. And it's time to ask the questions as to whether Virtus.Pro have got that flexibility to deal with, you know, the attack that beat them last time around on this site.
Admittedly, only the one going down so far doesn't feel like the end of the world. A second, as always, is warming into things. Hertz is there for the trade, makes it a second. Suddenly, it's a 3 versus 3. What looked strong for Virtus.Pro 5 seconds prior to suddenly crumbles and goes the other way.
Felipox goes down and the diffuser with him. That's going to leave it in no man's land. 2 versus 2. Hertz has managed to collect it and get himself a kill along the way, and he's throwing the diffuser down. He's got KZ on the cover, and who else would you want? Pasha, 1v2 now. He needs to find his first. He can't! Hertz closes it out, and W7M, they level things up and continue to keep this a tight game on Chalet.
The crazy thing is, always hits like a couple of big shots. You think, wow, 5v3, VP have got this on lock. And then Hertz walks to 4K. Like I keep saying, you just don't feel like you can get excited no matter what the game state is. W7M always find a way to bounce back. It must be infuriating to play against. Even you had all the G2 players saying, we lost to the best team in the world today, GG.
Again, I think it's just something that they do so well is adapt, not just through the game, but within the round. As you say, the problem solving is fantastic. They go in, and if they need to make a move, they've always got that option to just turn it on, rush in, and get the kills to find the space. And like you say, it must be very, very difficult to play against. And Virtus.Pro certainly on the receiving end of that there. Look at the drop from Herds. How do you stop that? How do you stop it?
Attacks
I mean, he's just walked, literally he's dropped into connector and killed 3 players.
He's like a freight train just
Attackers are out.
running over people
man.
when he gets going. There's just no stopping him.
When he gets on the live stages, Tim, that's when they start to look truly, truly terrifying.
It really is.
And the shirts are off, Tim, quite literally.
A reminder, of course, you know, what is on the line for W7M here. We've made much of, you know, the fact that they are the hometown heroes, the fact that this is on their own patch, but it's not just about SI, it's not just about this one tournament, it's about an entire year, Des. They've won both of the majors so far, Copenhagen, Atlanta. They could cap off the year taking every single trophy that is available to them. JV92, he gets in and gets an entry onto Always, and W7M look to continue the momentum. The flawless round for Virtus.Pro might just have awoken the beast.
Maybe so, and Always especially has had a good start to this match so far. Him being one of the players that you see failed, you're going to be feeling pretty happy if you're a Brazilian fan right now. Fleetbox at least spotted one up on the upstairs. There's the R6 Pasha charging around, looking to have a bit of an impact. Right idea, Nade's got the diffuser outside, so really doesn't want to be going down in this situation. Wouldn't be too surprised to see him not opting to get into a firefight instead, just keeping himself away and safe until his team call. Okay, we're ready to make the move.
Pasha going to be full flashed for the time being. Takes the rotate across Ivy, but is shut down by KZ. W7M in full control of this map, and they could be in danger of returning a flawless round of their own here. Shepard moves back up those solarium stairs to try and get himself back into the fight. Just holding that angle through bathroom, but it's going to be a real tough one to hold on to that top floor now with the numbers stacked against him.
I've seen a couple of people on Twitter just saying it's an absolute delight to watch W7M's attack because the timing of their execution, I mentioned back in map 1, the patience are unrivaled at this tournament. It feels like a no phase wait for them, of course, in the grand final, but as we've already said, it feels like there's something a little bit special brewing in this Sao Paulo-based kitchen. A flawless round to round out what's turning into one hell of a comeback after it looked like BP, was starting pretty strong in the series.
At times for W7M, you look at the gameplay and you just can't help but think that this is some of the purest Siege that you can see. They just tick every box. And right now, Virtus.Pro struggling to keep pace with them. We're seeing that aggression. We're seeing that willingness to take fights coming out of W7M over the last couple of rounds, and they're starting to kick it up an extra gear. And that's something else this Brazilian team always seems to be able to do. You look at them, they're moving at pace and you think they're already at their maximum, and then they find another gear.
I mean, looking at here, this replay that on your screen, you just see 4 players flooding. You've got one pushing in top stairs. You've got Nade coming into library. 2 players ready to play for a trade coming up that lobby stairs. And it's just, again, I'll praise another player. It was JV at the bottom of main stairs back on club. This time around, it was Nade. We mentioned it in the round. He's got the diffuser. He's got no one out there with him. It would be really silly for him to go, I think I can win this 1v1. I think I got this. Goes for it, dies. The team have then got to readjust to go and recover the diffusers to try and get the round back on track. So again, the patience and the lack of ego, I think, is the key thing being shown by lots of the W7M players, is the reason why, at least for me, they probably are the best team in the world, Tim.
Well, they've yet to be crowned that, Des.
That is true.
They've yet to be crowned that. But the way they've played over the last couple of days, well, I don't think there's a stronger claim that they could make for being heading towards a final at this point. 3-2, they find themselves. Just 4 rounds away from that grand final position that they will be so desperate for. It will be a second win of the day. And Virtus.Pro, they're going to have to start making some moves.
They are. Admittedly, I think going down to 4-2 at this point after I thought it looked like we might see a Virtus.Pro 4-2 swing. We feel like a real kicker. And suddenly W7M are on that path to victory, the 2-0. I'm sure they've got in their minds, get themselves well rested before a showdown with Destiny tomorrow in that best-of-5 grand final. Let's get into this round though. Bar Gaming is going to be the site on the attacking side. I mentioned about the buck earlier on, already getting chewed up and spat out by Virtus.Pro.
Last time around, Virtus.Pro did a great job of holding on to the top floor, particularly this triangle around Blue Stairs, Library and Mezzanine, and it looks like that's set to continue. Hertz is down. There isn't anybody from Virtus.Pro over there. There is an opportunity potentially to get him back on his feet, and I think JV92 is just about to do that. So it's going to leave us at a full force 5v5, but Hertz is low health now, and for most guns, it's going to be one shot.
The thing is, w7m move so quick in rounds, I don't think they'll care about taking an extra 45 seconds to get a player back up and see their plans slow down somewhat. If nothing else, it's extra time for anxiety to build for Virtus.Pro about where are they, when are they coming?
That's it, time is never really a factor for w7m. You never really see them running down to those final seconds. They're always way ahead of it. Now then, here comes the push, and the fight is on for Blue Stairs. Philippox picks up always, but what a huge double from Dan. He's going to have to move away as the nade comes in, but there's another for Joystick. 4 versus 1 now, as Virtus.Pro have collapsed all over this w7m attack.
Dan really the big deleter there at the top of Library Stairs. You see them employing a similar sort of strat we've seen out of Virtus.Pro across the last couple of days. Overwhelmed with flashbangs, force your way forward and take those gunfights. But when a Warden is present, that's why things like a Thatcher coming through can be massive for you to get the push forward that you need. So well played by Virtus.Pro, still keeping things close. The fans don't really seem to care, Tim. They suspect this series is only going one way.
So much belief inside the arena in the Brazilian teams, and I think a 3-3 half, it kind of suits w7m there, I think. On the attack, we always expect the attack to be, you know, reasonably capable on Chalet, but I just think now, getting onto their defense, they're going to be confident in locking this down. I think we're going to see some strong roams. They're going to get out there and look to take gunfights with Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro have got to send a message at the beginning of this round, and the first few rounds, they've got to get out there, win a few gunfights, and let Virtus.Pro know that they can't just run around on defense and just have the run of the map.
Well, that's going to be it now. It's that full swap. w7m move to the defense, Virtus.Pro on to the attack. Starting things off down in the basement. I remember for a long time, Tim, on this map, there was actually a very avoided side. Bar gaming was kind of the primary. You'd sometimes see top floor defending, and then Kitchen really proved to be another one of those primary sides. But really come back into the meta with some force.
Round 7 then.
5 seconds left.
Virtus.Pro, I want to see them get into the map quickly, take ground, take control, and ideally get themselves an entry kill or two. w7m, they're going to be hoping that the roamers can get the job done and can send the message to Virtus.Pro that they're going to have a hard time of it. In goes the Twitch drone, so Virtus.Pro using that utility. Still 7 drones on side, so plenty of it to hand, as well as a few Twitch drones. They can go in there, the EU team, and really get a good picture of what is ahead of them and pick the fights and take them where it's advantageous to them.
Again, it is booming in here. I can barely hear you talk, Tim. It's incredible. Even with the 3-3 scoreline, maybe not the strong start that many would have hoped for w7m. Everyone's still backing them all tooth and nail. Trench really got locked up though by Nade. Of course, worth noting that we're looking towards those razor blooms to do a little bit of damage. And that feels like the kind of thing that you prep for, knowing that Virtus.Pro are likely to see a push on that side of the map. And truthfully, they're pretty looking spot on, to be honest. You've got Shepard trying to push his way inside of Solar, a couple of players hanging around Trophy, around Master. You've got Dan inside a bathroom up on that side of the map. It is very much this north side down push. And so you're expecting some kind of pressure to come down West Main in towards Trench. They've read the game perfectly.
Casey going to be picked up by that drone, just sits himself back to Mezzanine, but he's not going to give up too much ground. He wants to stick around there and continue to waste time here for Virtus.Pro. w7m definitely leaning into that a little bit, making sure that they don't give up too much too soon. Casey not been dealt with yet, and there is an opportunity for him to continue moving, continue making a nuisance of himself.
I've got the Kaid on side, but with the EMP in combo, nothing's going to stop this hatch from getting opened up. And it becomes a little bit of a game of chess, I think, with this hatch, Tim. Attacking teams love to make use of it. It's a great cover spot to have, but defenders, or at least should, the good ones, absolutely love retaking it. So keep a close eye on w7m outlines throughout the last 60 seconds of this round. If you see maybe the Wamai or the Thorn go charging around to try and make a retake come through upstairs.
Twitch drone of always, just a little bit too slow there. He was hoping to get in there, find that electrical and take it out to give an opportunity to open up that wall. There we go. We see at least the long angle now. It is possible with the Thatcher coming down to assist as well. Shepard is working around the other side of Trench, gets the hard breach gadget off, and the pressure can start to mount on W7M here as Dan manages to get an entry onto KZ. 5 versus 4.
You can't see him off towards his right-hand side as well. I think Shepard's really kind of gone unnoticed here. Sorry, thought he was inside the side, but instead on the back corner of Trench, of course, nearly ran his way all the way through those razor blooms that were ready and waiting. The spot here to make the push work. Did actually reinforce it up after making use of this earlier into the round, but have got to make this challenge happen on towards Blue. If it doesn't come on through, they simply can't get into the sights. But by the looks of it, they're in. He's got a plant shallow, knows him.
That is a huge risk, not being able to move forward. They haven't dealt with the Evil Eyes. It's falling apart a little bit, but they're finding the kills. It's 1v2. 4 seconds left to go after it all shakes down, and Dan has got no chance. He can't get through the barbed wire. He can't get through the fire. And right now, it feels like Virtus.Pro are going to have to do just that to win this. They're going to have to run through fire, flames, brick walls, and everything in between.
I love how we've just seen a scarf that really epitomises that round. Welcome to Hell It Red. And that's what that felt like. You're stepping in, you've got Evil Eyes zapping you, 2 of them. You've got Goyo canisters being popped off as well. You're being challenged from Connector and Blue. Just everything that could have came against the attackers there did. A really strong defense coming out from W7M, where they were happy to give away Hatch, for example. They didn't care about holding on to Trench for all that long. Really good stuff. And if this half carries on like that, we're on for a 2-0.
A round that really, for me, promotes and advertises how effective utility can be in this game. If it's placed well, if it's in position, if you can do everything else you need around it. We've got the Vulcan canister, we've got the Evil Eye, we've got the barbed wire, and it just completely locks out the round.
They know, Tim, and you know what?
Shots fired.
I'll happily take second place. I'm all right with this. As long as it means NA is at the bottom of the pile.
To these Brazilian teams that we've seen, I think anybody would accept second place, maybe apart from Virtus.Pro. They're certainly still looking for more, but I don't think anybody can honestly lose to this W7M team at any scoreline and come away and feel bad about it, because they are just so fantastic to watch.
And then when Virtus.Pro are trying to adapt to round 7, bringing along the Brava for the Evil Eyes of the Maestro, what does W7M do? They abandon the Maestro altogether and change things up completely. This time around looking more towards the Castle and the Fenrir as their main sort of core parts of the composition here, looking to keep Virtus.Pro out, looking to make it incredibly risky to go pushing into rooms that you don't have full knowledge of. And when you're nearsighted, guess who's going to swing you? Of course it's going to be W7M.
Dan just positioning drones there, try and provide a bit of intel as the round continues on. Make sure that they can't get hit on the flank. Just make sure people are watching them. Joystick in early, doing a bit of work vertically, but the sight is over on Bar and Gaming. But what he is doing is, again, just preventing any presence out in dining and kitchen from potentially causing them a problem. Great opener from Dan. That's 2 rounds in a row now. KZ's going to take a lot of damage, so does Joystick. Those two, they're just going to dip away from that fight. In comes the utility once again. Always on to Nade, 5 versus 3, 5 versus 2. KZ does manage to get something going for W7M though.
See that 5v3 with always getting a 2k, and we remember what happened in the first half of this map. Still, we saw W7M pull things back. The 2v4 for KZ and JV to hold off Virtus.Pro, to stave them and keep them at bay and take this up to a 5-3. Otherwise, things get tied up at 4-4 instead. For now, it's worked as well, library stairs. This might be a great spot to get into. If you can retake the top floor here while JV holds sight itself, that blows this round wide open. KZ literally marching his way through, seen that by a drone that was at his feet just now. Has to back away from this one. Also, of course, not forgetting that camera has been hacked and taken over. Imagined by Dan, but it could have also been the KV. There he is, found his man, that's all he needs, Tim.
Exactly that, fantastic. Just really closes out the round more than likely. JV92, he's trying to do what he can underneath, but there is going to be absolutely no joy for him as Dan manages to find that final kill, and that is a really good round for Virtus.Pro, leveling things up 4-4, keeping it close on Chalet.
Plenty more to come, I'm sure, yeah. That 4-4 point. We want a close game, Tim. We've said it many times before. You want to see these games either go all the way or at the very least be a good challenge between the two teams. 3-3 on Clubhouse is how it started. This one at least is keeping pace, keeping form. We aren't seeing either team run away with the second half just yet. There's still plenty of time for that to change.
I won't say it too loud, Not that the Brazilian fans could hear me over the noise they're making.
No.
But I don't want to risk it. But yeah, I'd love to see Virtus.Pro take this map and go to 3, because I sort of feel like the matchup deserves it. Both teams at this point have had big rounds. They've both had big moments. They are both fighting with everything that they've got, and it just feels like the excitement here could absolutely, you know, continue boiling and bubbling into that third map.
All right then, a brief pause. Don't worry, the round is indeed underway.
10 seconds remaining.
Find ourselves straight into the prep phase. Things ready to go for a kitchen dining defense. The guys on side towards Dave. More information game being pulled out. And I keep mentioning this, Tim. Every single time it feels like Virtus.Pro have got a way to deal with what they've seen in the previous rounds. You just see w7m change things up entirely here. No Ash coming on side to deal with the mirror, but we do, or at least can, look across towards things like the Selmas to come out, maybe also the play to come out of the Glass. We've only seen Glass picked up, I'd say, half a dozen times across the entirety of the competition. Hasn't really been as effective as what they used to be, not the true terror. But this round, we've got 6 smokes in the back pocket for Virtus.Pro. If that ain't commitment towards making one operator work, I don't know what is.
Gonna have that presence down in the basement then, drones being taken out, so they will be aware, of course. We've got a player down there to deal with. Now, KZ and Hertz, Nid, all holding around side. KZ does take a lot of damage down there in the basement, so needs to be careful on the Solus.
What you normally look for on this site when you know you've got to try and push in towards kitchen and dining is to start on the top floor, get the main air quotes breach. In this case, I imagine it might be safe above them. Get that opened up first and foremost, and then with the vertical control, you can start putting more pressure inside a lobby, knowing that you've got vertical cover that forces JV92 away on the mirror. Without that vertical control, things are going to stay very, very messy. You can see they've tried to get the mirror off the wall straight away. It has been jammed off. Once that's opened up, though, that's when Pasha will really come into his own. So what I want to see here is real composure from the side of Virtus.Pro. Let's not see the sort of things that w7m do be only exclusive to them. Let's not see the patience game be a thing. Nice hack coming out from Always, though. Gets rid of the jammer, and now that mirror window will get taken away. And that will force w7m to fall back without necessarily having to force top floor control. Dan, he's a different man this map, Tim. He's 12-3.
3 kills in a row have been the entry for Dan. He's managed to get them and really put Virtus.Pro into a great position. 5 versus 3 now, and w7m definitely on the back foot. And you're just wondering, Des, they are so close. They're only 3 rounds away from that grand final spot. Are the nerves starting to set in a little bit? Are the cracks just starting to show? And Virtus.Pro are there waiting to take advantage. 5 versus 3, Hertz fight. We saw him winning those angles on Clubhouse, but this time the luck doesn't drop quite the same way as Pasha. He manages to find him 5 versus 2 and can now start using that class in towards side.
Fair in a 5 versus 2, you'd take any set of operators, I imagine, to close things out, but the Glass is certainly not going to hurt. JV still sat up above. Want to clear him out so we can't play the verticals, and that's exactly what they found. Joystick getting his man. The Yokai's in spot, but Tim's 20 seconds to play. A smoke actually might really help the Yokais here. They could be paying the price for this. He'll stall out one, but can they find the other? It's been shot out, and that is really all they need here. Down to the last one. It's been taken out as well. Unless Nate can deny from above, this round is cooked in, and by the looks of it, it's done.
Shepard gets the diffuser down, so now Virtus.Pro, they sit back, they hold their angles. Nid has got a mammoth task ahead of him. He comes around the corner, manages to find Joystick, who was led prone. 1 versus 5 becomes 1 versus 4, but if Nid's going to be successful, he's going to have to find one of the rarest things in all of Siege, and that would be the coveted 1v5 ace clutch. And right now, time is not on his side. He's got about 10 seconds to find these kills. He's taking damage, and that is likely to be an impactless kill as he finds the second, but can find no more as Pasha closes it down. And that's Virtus.Pro putting themselves in the lead here on Chalet.
Certainly wasn't done the conventional way by Virtus.Pro, but I really like the way that they approached that. Rather than worrying about the vertical control and getting in, opening up the floor, for example, potentially getting C forward, instead hacking out that mute jammer that was sat on the wall turned out to be enough. Everything got opened up, and they just played long angles from there. Whether it was top floor or the ground floor, everything was at a distance, and they really made use of the better scopes and guns the attackers tend to come along with. w7m timeout comes on through here. Tim, the first time we've seen them call it in this series. Perhaps not quite unsurprisingly, given they are now down 5 and 4 on their own map pick.
Yeah, and that goes to tell you that, you know, the position that they're in at the minute. They're looking at this and thinking, you know, there's a bit of momentum going against us here. Virtus.Pro are starting to find rounds. It's 5-4. They're only 2 rounds away. We need to try and get this locked down. But remember what I said in map 1, these tack timeouts work both ways. And what they've also done here at 5-4 with only 1 round between them is they've given Virtus.Pro an opportunity to have a discussion, to cement what's working, to really talk about the strategy going forward over the next couple of rounds. So as much as this tack timeout could work for them, it could work against them.
Very much could. Enough composure being shown, but I wouldn't say it feels like the game has run far enough away from them that they have to be majorly concerned here. Just some smaller tweaks they want to make to get this game back in their control. To be fair, when Dan's vaulting into mud and getting 2 kills like that, when you're set up for a great trade situation, you put your players in the right place and he still walks away with a 2K, that's how I think a lot of teams feel playing against W7M. No matter what you do, it simply isn't good enough. And really, again, that all falls to Dan, who's been having a stellar map. 12-4 he currently sits at.
And we've seen this repeatedly from Virtus.Pro. When Dan has been able to really get himself up towards the top of the scoreboard, inevitably Virtus.Pro follow. They find the kills around the team as well. They get themselves involved and they support him. Always doing exactly that, finding himself on 8 as well. He's had a couple of really important double kills that have opened the round up and given Virtus.Pro the man advantage that they've needed. Dan, he will start things off as he has so often, going in on the Barbadrome and hacking those gadgets.
Oh, had to get away from that one. He got shot out.
Didn't get the default.
He got shot out before he could take it over. I think he saw the camera getting chased down the drone, sorry, getting chased down the stairs as well. Eventually he's taken out, sniffed out, removed from the field. Let's go back to what I spoke about in map 1 team as well. 9 flashbangs in the back pocket of Virtus.Pro. The time on by with a remind Jaeger on the other side to be forgiven for saying, well, of course, it's to burn through those ADSs and those remind magnets. Here, I think it's much more to try and overwhelm the defenders, knowing that they're sat behind things like a mirror window, like the Fenrir, like a shield. It's really going to be that battle of attrition between the 2 sides, I think, in this round.
Dan once again on the hunt, just looking for that utility. The Fenrir FNAT taken over, and that is going to be a big one because it's going to allow access in through this front door should they want it later in the round. They are attacking onto Bar and Gaming. My concern for Virtus.Pro on the attack right now is they haven't done anything to disrupt Herds, to disrupt JV92 in Library, on Mezzanine, and to force those defenders away from those positions.
Here we go, attempt number 1 coming onto the mirror window. Herds, he looks towards his right, he can save this. Does just about get away with it. I think he was so scared about a play being made off the back of that Selma going onto the wall, and he'd be right to assume so. A lot of teams would use that as a little bit of distraction, a little bit of an attention suck, and make a play. But it simply didn't come on through, but at the very last second, the Selma is removed.
Virtus.Pro are in that position now where the only move left to them is to push forward and take the gunfight.
Flashes in.
JV92 is ready, but no, we see the utility raining in. JV92 had absolutely no chance, as always finds Herds, and it's another one of those big doubles that we've seen him deliver, and it's 5 versus 3 now.
60 seconds to play as well. Virtus.Pro have got every right and every opportunity to take this up to map point and career us through the border for our 3rd and final map. Philippox on the swing can find nothing. Pasha deleting him from the server. And Nade and KZ have got to hold on.
It's going to be such a tough job for them now, 2 versus 5, 40 seconds as well. An awful lot of time and pressure that is going to need to be absorbed. Nade is going to have to leave. The wall has been opened. KZ, do they know about him? Yes, they do. Always, once again, Pasha to finish off a flawless round, and Virtus.Pro, they move on to map point, and that is the quietest that I've heard the arena so far today.
I think I'd hate to be Pasha's monitor in this series, Tim. The amount that he's screaming at it is bonkers. Really seeing the passion come through. But we touched on it around start to go back to the point about the 9 flashbangs. I thought it might be a battle of attrition between the Jaeger and between the Wamai, and of course, all those flashbangs coming against them. But instead, what do you see? The Jaeger screen with 3 flashbangs all going off at the same time. It didn't matter where, you can't look away from 3 Tim at once. He was guaranteed to be full white screen. It was a brilliant team play coming out from Virtus.Pro, and that is the kind of stuff they've done all tournament long, and it's looking better and better as the days go by.
It reminded me very much of a player, you'll remember it, on old Consulate. I can't remember who it was now. There was a player on yellow stairs of old Consular, and there was just about 10 pieces of utility rained in at once.
Tim, that was every game of Consular on yellow stairs.
Yeah, it was.
It was like, am I getting flashed? Am I getting actually naded here? What's coming? You just didn't know. It was
everything.
It was like a raffle every time you played yellow stairs.
But it was very much the same feeling and the same result. JB92, not a hope of holding on to mezzanine there, and that's something I feel like over the last few rounds especially, Des, Virtus.Pro have done really well. They've created no-win situations for the W7M defenders.
Really fancying some chance of getting something there. Fortunate to find out the joystick almost didn't find him either, actually. It wasn't too far away on the left-hand side of these trees, whereas Hertz was looking out towards the right. Just keeping Virtus.Pro honest and asking questions the longer this game wears on. Still, 2 rounds of a mountain to climb for W7M. It almost feels to me like an exact reverse of what we saw back on Clubhouse, where actually it was W7M who were very dominant in the second half. Here, it's been all Virtus.Pro.
How often do we see it as well? A team comes out, steals the other team's map away, and you think it's over, and then there is the reverse. Always going to be sending in the Rotero drones. I think just recognising here Virtus.Pro how much of an impact that utility had last time around Des. I picked up on it, the Vulcan canister, the barbed wire. KZ is going to pick up joystick to kick things off, and that's a great start for W7M. They might lose some of their utility on site, but Virtus.Pro pay for it with some manpower.
Sorry, Tim, were you saying something? The crowd
crying, Des. I'm quite known for being excitable and loud, but it's difficult to make myself heard over this.
I tell you what, to be cheering your team this much when you're down 6-4 is something quite special. And if that drives you to take this round and maybe the next one, well, it's very close to see who the 6th man on this W7M roster would have been. Working our way in now through Trench, moving fast, or maybe not. Halfway into the round, have got themselves this north side control. Once again, W7M know what to expect. They dealt with it expertly last time around, but always could not stop finding entry stim.
Always, he manages to get one. Shepard doubles up. JB92 onto Pasha. It's 3 versus 3, 3 versus 2 as the Brazilians fight back. Nid, he manages to take down that key component. Always is gone. There's a minute left on the clock.
Managed to get it back. They didn't manage to get this last time round, Tim. He's had to steer away. I think Shepard knows they haven't got the control they need. There's 60 seconds to play, Tim, but I feel they have to retake upstairs.
Virtus.Pro do have time to do that if they want to. 50 seconds. Dan finds JV92, and then he goes to have a look. Hertz has actually pushed away from the hatch, so there is an opportunity for Virtus.Pro to get themselves inside a site. Shepard takes it. He will find himself running through the FNAT, but there is no more utility this time. Dan can hold the long angle, and there's an opportunity to get this diffuser down, and that's what Shepard are doing. Virtus.Pro, they close out map 2 then, and we are going to border to decide who will get themselves into the grand final.
And the map 3 feels so deserved. A very flat Virtus.Pro yesterday have turned up a different beast on day 2 of our live finals. The border feels like the perfect showdown between these teams, given how they've played those 2 maps.
You just know, Des, that border is going to be an absolute bloodbath. It's such a small map, so many opportunities for gunfights. These 2 are really going to go at each other. If you're watching this, do not go anywhere. This 3rd map really could be something special, Des.
Couldn't it just? And as much as we always like to talk about a bit of sportsmanship, it must be daunting walking out of that arena to a chorus of boos. Here we go, though, down to the Milosh. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Des and Ace. And what a game! Virtus.Pro finally put a map on the board. Our first one for really any team to take us to a map 3. We have not had a map 3 yet here on the main stage. I'm very happy that it happens with a European squad. No bias whatsoever, of course. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Yosta Medicare host. With me are Fresh and Fabian. Fabian, we have to center immediately on that final round because Virtus.Pro looked like they could just bring it back every single time.
You know, there's few times I will say that I'm proud over other teams. And this time I am super proud of Virtus.Pro. Because what we saw here from W7M was a lot of counters. And that last round, they're contesting everywhere, super hard. Virtus.Pro lose the entry pick. Joystick goes down. What do Virtus.Pro decide to do? Something I very rarely see from them. We rush site. And it paid off immensely, right? W7M is a good enough team to take that round to us so close. Had it been against anybody else, I think it would have just been Virtus.Pro running away with it. But that was so impressive from Virtus.Pro because so much stuff that w7m pulled out and Virtus.Pro countered it.
Sometimes as an analyst, you're actually happy that you're wrong. We set the expectations that Virtus.Pro on their attack would be able to set up all these executes, but be closer to site. What we actually saw Virtus.Pro on their attacks was individuals feeling enabled to make plays. Dan made a huge play on a 2K, always made a huge play on a 2K. That last round, as you say, the decision to just hit site in the 4v5, spot the gap. That's what we expect of teams like G2, like w7m, not of Virtus.Pro. And I think that came down from it's do or die time, right? That has to be a strategic decision before the map started saying, it's the last map potentially for us at the Six Invitational, do or die time, anything you see, go for it.
And all those strats that w7m were pulling out, it felt like all of them were time-waste. We saw the first round. I genuinely thought that in the first defense round for w7m, with the Goy on the Maestros, oh, this is gonna run away from w7m. I thought that they had so much control over this game. And then all of the different strats, like double castle barricade into library and into mezzanine, I've never seen that, and I don't expect anyone to play like that. I'm like, okay, this is directly to counter Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro had keys. I'd never expected that.
Yeah, Jack, I see.
I'm just gobsmacked.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe it.
w7m is setting up some of the strangest non-default setups that you can see a team do in professional play. Clearly adapted, like you say, for Virtus.Pro, and Virtus.Pro have gone, right, we'll just ignore it. We're just going to hit side. We're going to try and find individual plays, and they hit them.
And Virtus.Pro have flipped the script on their opponents here at w7m. This crowd buff is not something, genuinely, you are not here, and you cannot feel it the same way that we can, so we hope that you'll be at our next event. Goddamn, this is something else. And for Virtus.Pro to bring this back, we know that VP are able to do it. They've done it in the past, but VP Unchained is not what I expected to see on Chalet. We set it all up in the way that this is Virtus.Pro with issues, but they fixed them. And Dan, that was a big spear head. Let's put him up on the screen. There it is. Big performance from the player here to make sure that the defense is held together.
Dan's actually had a relatively quiet tournament. And the thing is that we're so used to seeing him inside of Europe, kind of playing off the back of the Dokkaebi and the kind of initiator operators, if you wanted to call them that way, that initiates the team play and then executes, and he's so good at that role. Today, he was one of the initiated, where he was taking those opportunities and trying to find the gaps. That one where he went in the mud window and just peeked both players inside of games, the confidence to just open up the round like that.
Yeah, the double kill, that was incredible. Just, they have the freedom, and it's so unexpected. I'm still lost for words, because I never expected Virtus.Pro to take their opponent's map. Virtus.Pro is a team that wins their own map, they win the third map, and that's how they end the series. They don't win their opponent's pick, especially when it's a Brazilian team that gets to fully counter them. They proved me wrong, and I've never been happier about that.
You know what? If you're watching right now and you want to feel that you're proud of yourself, clip that last segment of Fabian being proud and just replay it every night before you go to sleep. I think you'll sleep a lot better than that. Go, Fabian Fresh, thank you very much. We will take a quick break. When we get back, it'll be time for map number 3. Finally, we get one in our main stage. See you in a bit.
So, Ian, this is Brazil. A little bit hot.
A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Are you ready to learn the real Portuguese?
Maria, one word, vamos.
Ó, a gente tá numa missão aqui de ensinar português das ruas pro Ian. O que você gostaria de ensinar pra ele?
Show G2.
Show de Joyce. Show de Joyce. What's it mean?
Show G2. É bind to.
No, I don't want to say that. I don't like that.
You already said.
It's show by.
Show
Yeah, bye.
Show w7m.
No. Good.
Oi. Como está?
Muito bem, e você? Como que
What do I say now? You've got a message for your mom?
Yeah, I got a message.
Let's go.
Mãe, tô aqui. She is...
Você pode falar em português com ele sabe.
You speak... ok. Minha mãe acompanha o cenário competitivo da R6 junto comigo.
Que resenha. I like.
Thank
Vai
you.
Brasil.
Vai Brasil.
Vai Brasil.
What did you say?
Vai Brasil.
Vai Brasil.
Vai Brasil, é go Brasil.
Go Brasil.
Vai Brasil.
Vai Brasil.
Yeah, vai. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going.
Whoa, look at the size of this hammer.
Whoa. Vamos.
No.
E aí, não pode. A gente vai ser banido agora?
Oh, the stage manager needs me. Hello.
A few moments later.
Cadê o Ian? Where is Ian?
Milos, my brother. You are the definition of a man to me, you know that?
Gente, cadê o Ian, cara?
Whenever I see you, the beard, the hair, the body, I think that you literally are Siege. I worship you. You're a king to me. There's a mark on it, so I was like, just get him. We were gonna eat some food together. Can we do that? Let's eat. Bye, Brazil.
Tá bem brasileiro já, né? He's already Brazilian.
This one is sin bacon. No bacon.
No bacon.
Got it. I'm learning.
Clima de tensão. Tension in the air.
Unbelievable.
Yes! É muito bom.
Oh, muito bom.
É muito bom.
É muito bom.
É muito bom. Obrigada, pessoal.
Do we need to pay for that burger?
So now, did you learn the true Portuguese?
Agora foi português.
Agora eu falo português. Tamo junto, Ian. Foi muito da hora. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado.
You are awesome.
Welcome back, everybody, to Six Invitational 2024, and we have a 3-mapper for the first time ever here on our main stage in Sao Paulo. And now we can get started with it. Map number 3 between Virtus.Pro and w7m. Gentlemen, Fresh, Fabian, let's talk details, because these two came from the same groups, but Border is our third. Is there any preference, Fresh?
Not really. I think Border is quite a surprising map for us to get there, and it's a kind of blink and you'll miss it type approach from the two teams. It's w7m's 9th preference map at this event. They've not really liked it. They actually lost it when they played against VP in groups. So there's a little bit of history there. It was a 7-5, it was a close game. For VP, Border is a map that they used to hate. It was definitely not in their style. They've brought it into their map pool for this event and have had some success on it.
Now let's talk playstyle real quick. Fabian, what do we expect?
So even though the Virtus.Pro won against w7m in the groups, I don't know if the playstyle in itself should reflect that, because we saw different w7m in group than we see today, with the crowd buff as well. So the playstyle on the map, and it's kind of like the attackers will be favored with gun skill. And that's not Virtus.Pro's style. They have the checkbox, we said it over and over. So what I need to see from Virtus.Pro for them to be able to beat w7m here is to remove that checklist and feel the freedom that they felt on chalet attacks. That's the key, I think, for Virtus.Pro.
w7m favored is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think on paper, the win condition of the map marries up really nicely with the win condition of the team. And that's why w7m should win. However, if it's an enabled Virtus.Pro, this could be a lot closer.
Who goes to final? We're ready.
Virtus.Pro, I'm calling it. That's them.
Fresh.
w7m, crowd buff goes hard.
You've heard it all here. Let's toss it back to our casters. Map 3.
I love how the desk is so split. Fabian and Fresh, of course they're always at odds with each other, Tim, but now more than ever between Virtus.Pro and w7m, we've got that old result of the 7-5 win for w7m, but it's different gravy when w7m are on this live stage.
It's so true, Des. We've seen the performance just elevate. They're on an upward trajectory, and it seems like it has no peak at the minute, and that's a dangerous thing if you're sat in Virtus.Pro's chairs. w7m, of course, going to do everything they can to take this.
And for me, I'm looking back across those last two maps. Dan has put in an absolute screamer of a performance on Chalet. Problem is, repetition across maps has always been the sticking point for some of these big hero players on the side of Virtus.Pro. So, are we going to see it here again? I don't know.
No, this is it, and Virtus.Pro really do need everybody to show up, Des.
We do. And showing up now for that spot in the grand final, it all comes down to this on Border. Let's go! Still chills every single time, Tim. I'll never get bored of turning around and looking at that.
Yeah, I know the desk was split. I'm not sure the arena is. I think they know who they want to win.
I think we all know which way they lead.
It is
Tim.
most certainly the team down the right-hand side of your screen. It's w7m.
The thing is, we're all talking about this sort of fairy tale story. Rams an interesting band. We're talking about this fairy tale story coming out for the side of w7m. We can't forget that for this Virtus.Pro core, the 4 players that were formerly on Team Empire, they've been in an SI Grand Final twice before and fell. Once in 2019, once again in 2022. Third time lucky? We'll have to find out tomorrow by winning this map. Unsurprisingly, Ying taken away once again by Virtus.Pro. Seen them making very excessive use of flash grenades, as I've mentioned, throughout the entirety of the competition. And Azami has been their staple, go-to permaban. That doesn't change, Tim, even when it comes down to this.
Exactly that, and w7m, as we've said, they can prepare for it. They know exactly what's going to happen.
Pasha target bans, what is this?
Absolutely, Oryx is going to be gone, and as you quite rightly said, as Pasha is where we've seen that operator being used the most and to the most effect. So we'll see how that shapes up for Virtus.Pro on the defense. It won't matter to begin with as they start on the attack here on Border. And as I said, when we were at the end of Chalet, this one to me feels like it could just turn into an absolute slugfest. You've got 2 teams, a small map, and a lot of gunfights. It's going to be crazy.
Third time lucky, or the last dance with destiny. That's what it comes down to, and only one map separates either team from that showdown with FaZe tomorrow in our grand finals. Here we go then, Armory Archives for our first defense in w7m. Of course, Tim, with that Legion now being available once again, not banned away this map, Hertz is straight on it.
You know that he's going to be, and he's going to be trying to abuse it as best he can. and get every drop of advantage that he can for his team. We're going to have the Warden, which is always an important one to watch out for, JB92, to see exactly where that comes into use. Flashbangs, 6 of them on the side of Virtus.Pro. If they try to push in behind, that's something they're going to need to be aware of.
Want to keep a close eye on Pasha. I spoke about this back on map 1, but the Thatcher on side, EMP's a golden target. Especially when there's not a whole ton of wall denial coming in here. You're looking at a mute really as the only option. Like, you're not too worried about the hard breach getting through. It's much more about the gadgetry on the other side. Can you, for example, take those glasses off JV92? Can you flash him out? Can you then push into him? We've seen that team play throughout the series already from both sides, and I feel like if it's going to really set the tone for this map, it's going to be now in round 1.
Joystick just taking out that default camera. Virtus.Pro keeping the fundamentals and the basics there. You can't let the size of the match get to you. It's got to be the same as any other map that you play, because those small mistakes, anything at all, w7m will take full advantage. KZ is having a peek around that window on the Vigil. Doesn't quite get the angle that he needs, and he's going to dip back into safety.
We'll give it to Dan. His use of Brava so far has been excellent across the series, always getting value with those drones rather than just running them into a defender and being like, oh well, I lost my drone. Pretty sure we've seen every drone get away with at least a couple of hacks that's gone by. Pasha, you might try and target ban him out, Tim, but he's still going to run right through you. This time on the Thatcher for Leapox and KZ taken offline.
A great start once again. How many times have we seen Virtus.Pro do that? Get the opening 2 kills, give themselves the 5 versus 3 advantage, and they've really proved difficult to beat from there. We haven't had any of those huge clutch moments, really, from w7m where they managed to lock out these rounds and get it over the line, and that's something that they're going to have to start delivering here on Border.
They know that Nade's here. That drone was sat inside a fountain of Shepherds the whole time, just giving away all the information. Is now backed away, but at least they've seen the movement and know where it is that he's holding. Herds trying to pull back towards the side. It was a bit of a 2v1 on the main stairs, but Herds came off a little bit worse for wear. Still able to be recovered here, and my God, do they need him? Otherwise, never mind. JV's down as well. Nade is in a 1 versus 4. This would be a clutch from heaven if he pulls this off.
And it just feels like w7m need that kind of moment, but Dan is not going to let them have it. He manages to pick up the final kill. He'd also down the player, so 2 rain in for him at the end, and Virtus.Pro take round 1 on the attack of Border.
All right, solid start. w7m, right sort of idea, I think, but that early punish from Virtus.Pro, like you say, we've seen them in a 5v3 so many times over. Back on Chalet, it was constantly always getting them in that situation. This time around, it was more the utility player, Pasha, without using a single EMP, getting into a great spot to get his team off and running. And I said I was a little bit concerned about would we see Dan carry on being the hero? Well, Timmy's found himself 2 kills in the round. Looks like he's not going to slow down here on Border.
No, and that's something the w7m need to deal with. You feel like maybe, and I say this time after time on Border, it's the perfect map for the defense to get aggressive, stop the attackers getting in the building. You hear a barricade knocked, you run towards it, you take the fight. w7m certainly have the ability to win those fights, but I don't know if maybe a little bit of nerves, a little bit of confidence kicking in over the last couple of rounds of Chalet and into Border here is just meaning that where they were winning them on Clubhouse, those rounds, those kills are just starting to fall away from them.
All right, it's only round 1. Nobody panic. They're certainly not doing that in the arena. Still plenty of time for w7m to turn this into a good half for themselves. So it's on side here for Herds, a bit of a change from who's playing exactly what operator. And I did wonder if we'd see this combo come out. We saw FaZe run it against Virtus.Pro yesterday, realising that actually it's a great way to remove half of Virtus.Pro's game. I mentioned that you see the drone being one half of it, the flashbangs being the other. In fact, this is probably the first one I've seen from Virtus.Pro in a long time, Tim, where they've only got 3 flashbangs on side. But on the other, you're facing off against Mute, Mozzie, and Solis. So much intel denial, not a lot of flashbangs to play behind. Maybe looking towards the Grim and the Brava and saying, okay, there's even more available there to work with, sure. But I fear that w7m actually could really punish Virtus.Pro.
Again, just trying to get aggressive. This is what I want to see. He goes and gets 1. Cannot find the second as Pasha is alert, he's alive, he's ready for the danger, and he manages to find the trade. Takes a lot of damage, but that's not a terrible start there for Virtus.Pro.
It's the Grim being removed as well. Such a critical operator for the Execute, and that now being taken offline means you'll always find Virtus.Pro asking questions about, is the room really safe? We've already spoke about the Mute, the Mozzie, the Solis, the chipping away at the information game. In fact, inside 60 seconds, we'd already seen half of their drones off the board, and that's the kind of thing that let JV make the play that he did. And it's great that it's the Castle making that play. Yes, his gun's not great, but your utility's already been deployed. You've already done your job. You're like a Jaeger. Your ability is then there to go and run around and do whatever the hell you want for the rest of the round. So a good selection, I think. Others have got C4s in back pocket. Solis, perpetually useful. And Legion, of course, has that recharging gadget. Nearly 5 now in the back pocket of KZ, by the way. Probably want to get some of those out in the field at least sometime soon as Virtus.Pro give away where the attack is coming from.
Big kill comes in from Hertz, 4 versus 3. Gonna dip away, he needs to play his life there. Doesn't want to overcommit and give anything up to Virtus.Pro too easily. 55 seconds on the clock, so there is time for Virtus.Pro to work with here, and it's a smart move from w7m to just keep themselves in that man advantage and fighting later into the round. But KZ does give himself away to Dan on the hatch. Gonna use that vertical superiority to find his man, but time could start ticking away from them.
We're on into that last 30 seconds here. Still a little bit of setup work to be done, I really feel, on the side of Virtus.Pro. They haven't got full control of waiting here. They know that Hertz is inside, and they're really starting to run out of information as well. It's going to be a little bit of a Hail Mary. Those 3 flashes in the back pocket of Shepard. Keep speaking about flashes for this team, a massive part of their gameplay, but they're in and immediately down. 2 left on the side of Virtus.Pro. Plant is going down here. They've got the Solis on side, they can snip it out, they need to. They're going for the challenge, but they found one, and he's pulled away from it. Shepard's got a re-stick, but it's a 2K C4 coming out of the lead box to secure the round. And Tim, without those flashes, with all that drone denial, and the disruptive roams out of 2 players, JV and Hertz, we've finally seen the Virtus.Pro train ground to a halt.
I think we've just seen the perfect start to this match, Des, that not just you, I, and everybody at home wanted to see, but it's just absolutely ideal. They've both come in, they've both taken 1 round off each other. The crowd is absolutely bouncing here, and there is nothing to separate these 2 teams. Virtus.Pro come in with the first round, get themselves the kills they need, and sort of swarm all over w7m. They were unable to move anywhere comfortably, but then w7m, they show that even in the tightest of spaces on board, they're able to find that room, find that space, and get those kills.
One thing probably you take away from the last map, especially of Chalet, w7m just gave a little bit too much room to Virtus.Pro to get set up for their executes. Often seeing ourselves in 5v5s, 4v4s, you name it, when it came round to the late round. But what I love there, I mentioned the 2 players, JV and Hertz, both were there and ready to give things a jolly good go. Get on the run-outs, try and get a couple of kills, disrupt Virtus.Pro, take away some of those key execution-based opportunities or operators in the utility, and look at how things work out for them. I want to see that aggression continue. When we get back into things here, a quick rehost to come through.
I don't know how well, and I'm going to answer my own question. I was going to say, I don't know how well you pick up the volume of that crowd on stream, and I know we keep talking about it. I can only imagine that it's coming through as loud and clear there as it is to us, Des. You know, it's hats off to the Brazilian fans that have turned up here and shown such a passion for Siege, for the game. They've got an absolute love of their teams, they've got an absolute love of their game. They're almost cheering before a kill happens. They know it's coming because they know the game fantastically well.
Can just soak it in for 10 seconds. Flags, fans,
drums. Everything you can imagine inside this arena.
And some bloody good siege, Tim. Some bloody good siege. Players just getting back into lobby now. Will be able to get back underway in about 30 seconds or so. So thanks for sticking with us through this one. Reminder of the stakes, if you are just tuning in for some strange reason. Where have you been? Both teams here on map 3 have a chance to book their ticket to a grand final. For Virtus.Pro, it's that 3rd grand final for this core roster. They've fallen twice before, 2019 to G2, 2022 TSM. w7m, after winning 2 majors last year, it feels like their fairy tale is about to come to a very happy ending. However, Virtus.Pro could well be the villains in their story. It's unbelievable.
There is just so much support for the Brazilian team. It really does just speak to, you know, the effort of Virtus.Pro to play through that, to ignore that, and to hear themselves, let alone anything else. They might have noise-cancelling headphones on, but I don't see any way that this sound is not bleeding through to the players.
Well, players have said it before, is, yeah, the mics obviously are very close to their mouths, but when you've got volume louder than your own voice, like blasting all around you, of course it's going to get picked up. your mic's open while you're speaking, it's going to pick up crowd noise no matter what. And so as much as players might say, it's like being on the live stage, it's great, it does change the way that you play a game. And it's not me at all trying to single out players for this, but you know, look at maybe, for example, Ambi, his first ever, just barely turned 18 years old, had a fantastic tournament until he sat down on that live stage. And again, that's not me at all trying to take anything away from Ambi. He's played very well. But the pressure of 9,000 fans seeing you as the villain in their hero's story, it does bear down on you.
I think we've got everybody back in the lobby now, so we will be going back in as soon as we can do, as soon as we're confident that everything is up and rolling as it should be. We will head on over. So, ready? I was going to say, for anybody joining us, I'm sure everybody's seen this entire game. If you haven't, where have you been? It's been an absolute stormer so far. Virtus.Pro really turning up today against w7m. w7m, of course, getting that win earlier against G2. And that's something we've not really touched on yet so far, Des. But I think it's important that we remind everybody, this is not the first game w7m have played today. So the longer this goes on, the more of a chance there is for fatigue to creep in and to start causing those mistakes.
Think about SI21, when Liquid played a full 3 maps in the game before the grand final. By the time they got to map 5 at that best of 5, they were absolutely cream crackers. They were exhausted. They weren't really able to get themselves into that final map, and NIP took away the win. I'm not saying this can be the same case here for w7m team. They've made several, you can't even call it deep runs. They went the whole journey. They won the whole thing, both in Copenhagen and in Atlanta. So really, you'd expect them to be more than ready for this. However, the emotions at the moment, that could be a very different conversation. Virtus.Pro then on the attack in this round, almost finding Dan there, takes a few shots from JV at range. More of a tickle than anything else though. Dan walks away alive and is straight onto those drones that, as I mentioned the last round, he has been so effective on.
Pasha knows that he's going to be peaked on that angle, will take the pot shots, the pre-fires, and a little bit of damage off KZ, but cannot find the kill. However, KZ walks into the waiting arms of Always, who's more than happy to greet him, picks up a nice entry, and that just shows great communication between the teams.
Oh, Herd's going to maybe find his man here, sprays to the ceiling, but he's literally a few pixels away from a headshot. Unfortunate. Always playing, I'll give it to them as well, very aggressive, marching in from out towards west and just sweeping your way through, down past main stairs, then to try and take that 1v1 inside of customs. That's a lot of ground to cover. And I think w7m very fairly assumed that he would just sit outside double door and look to hold the angle, protect in towards server, protect in towards vent, protect the bottom of those main stairs. So I like that we're seeing the risk being taken by Virtus.Pro.
There's only one on site at the minute for w7m, but it just shows the importance of top floor on border and how confident w7m are that they can hold this from above the Virtus.Pro and not just rushing their way into sight there, knowing that they have to come through and find these kills, particularly in CCTV, to give them access to armory and archives, to be able to push down onto site. They get one. It's Always, again, I'm going to start calling him the mailman, Des, because he always delivers.
It's once again a spot where Always has been in the spot. I mean, it was JB back on the last map who was sat on hatch and was completely forgotten about by Virtus.Pro. You've seen the same thing just done to Always. They forgot that he pushed in towards customs and supply and found himself a kill and held that ground and never conceded it. 3 players left and Herds sees his man but doesn't manage to make the challenge. JV also falling onto his backside. Virtus.Pro building in confidence. Dan onto a 3K. Feeling like a very comfortable closeout. In fact, no, sorry, it's Always onto the 3K. Makes it a quad. Will we see an ace coming out here from him, Tim?
Certainly a possibility. Nate's just going to play underneath. He knows there's very little he can do. He prevents the ace, prevents the floor, but that is likely to be the end of it. Joystick managing to find the final kill, and Virtus.Pro, they lead 2-1 on border.
Great start on the attacking side here for Virtus.Pro so far. Just looked very composed, excellent at pinching onto these w7m roamers. Something that a few teams have fell short from earlier in the competition, to be fair. And what we've seen is then teams double up and make excellent plays off the back of it. Push in fast, get a pinch onto someone, and just see that player crumble. Remember, a few teams have adapted around that, but so far we haven't seen that out of w7m. If we want to see Herds out on the Solus on the roam, I feel like he needs a second man with him.
Nancy, the fantastic opener from Always there that was the beginning of a 4K for him. And how many times have we seen that? If Virtus.Pro do ultimately make it into this grand final, they've got to thank the performance of Always along the way, because he's been so consistent throughout this game, delivering those big moments, delivering those multi-kills when they need them the most.
Sensing a degree of nervousness in the arena now. It's very quiet towards the end of that third round. Understandably so. Told the story so many times at the last dance for W7M, and it can all end here. Cut it short before we even hit chorus.
5 seconds left.
Here we go then. Round 4. This time around back up to Armory and Archives, as we saw back at the very start of the game. Herd sticking hard on the Solus though, really wants to try and make it work. I'd love to see him joined out here on the roam by Felipox. So when I say joined on the roam, I don't mean so much being on the roam as well. I mean playing as a pair in here, looking to support each other. Where a lot of teams have struggled to pinch roamers in the tournament, it's not just on being slow, but also when defenders look to back up falling roamers that are falling back. They'll challenge an angle, they'll even just pre-fire it on the odd chance someone is there, and it forces players away. And that's what might give Herds his safe ticket back towards side, but Solus by very nature often does play out very individually, very alone, very solo, and therefore becomes quite easy to punish.
Joystick's going to be challenged here, he's going to be caught out as KZ manages to find the kill with the pistol, and that is going to give a good advantage to W7M. They've struggled with the entry recently, Des, and that is a big step for them.
I keep on speaking about getting out early, getting aggressive, but this time doing it as a pairing, and they've achieved it here. Yes, Herds wasn't part of the play. It was the Fenrir of KZ and Felipox together making that early challenge. And the thing is, you'd imagine Virtus.Pro would start getting wise to this by now. That's the second time that we have seen W7M go aggressive onto this south side balcony near the east stairs. Yet they haven't really responded too well to it. They haven't got enough information around there, and they're being punished for it. Admittedly, very hard when Herds is chewing through all your drones, down to only 4 with half a round to play.
It sends out the nitro, and it is bang on target, Des. He takes down Shepard, and W7M, they are sitting comfortably on this top floor hold now, just looking at the positions that we find Virtus.Pro in. They are just all over to that east side. They've got a little bit of presence on CCTV balcony east stairs, but nowhere near sight at the minute. They need to find some kills. They need to dislodge W7M, but KZ, he finds another onto Pasha, and it's looking like a big ask for Virtus.Pro in round 4.
Now I'm barely inside the building this round, Tim, is the best part for W7M. Always might find himself a consolation kill, but 4 players still ready to bear down on him. 50 seconds to go, and he can't see. Toffee, Tim, almost finds A4 over the top, but he's getting around from his stairs at the same time. That's the kind of play that we know W7M are capable of, not even letting the enemy team inside the building, let alone barely finding a kill in the round.
What a fantastic round from W7M, and you just feel like that's the message that they needed to send here. They needed to let Virtus.Pro know that they were in this, that the aggression was coming back, that they were going to keep on top of things, and they've absolutely smashed it out of the park in round 4, and are going to be hoping to build some momentum on the back of that. We're going to be heading into round 5. W7M with 2 rounds left to defend. It's going to be bathroom and tellers there. So we saw this in round 2, and it was a successful defense for them. They could well get themselves an advantage here on border.
It was, but let's not forget it was scrappy as hell. It required a closing C4 for Felipox to secure 2 kills to see that round go their way. Otherwise, Virtus.Pro were largely in control. They just left things a little bit too late. They gave themselves 14 seconds on the clock by the time they started getting that diffuser down. That really only gave Shepard 1 chance to readjust his positioning. Didn't have enough control to complete things out. So W7M for me, although it came down to a very close round, then they did enough to slow Virtus.Pro down. We're seeing a similar lineup come out here. The key change really is the Valkyrie and the Smoke. Before we've seen the Solus, the Mutant, and the Mozzie coming along with the Vigil on side as well. All about that information game being taken away from Virtus.Pro. Seeing them chew through that, not having enough flashes on side. Once again, we've only got 3 in back pocket of Shepard. The W7M is going to be all about slowing down the other side once more.
Dan once again. We've seen so much use of the Brava from Dan, and he's put it, you know, to great advantage for Virtus.Pro, able to steal away so many of those electronics and make their life difficult. But making life difficult, here comes JB92. He picks an up and opener onto Shepard, and that leaves us now 5 versus 4. And once again, Virtus.Pro having to fight so hard to get inside of the map, and that's something that I spoke about. There's on border, fight them at the boundaries, don't let them in, because once the attack gets established, it's difficult to root them out.
It's where they've seen success so far throughout the game, Tim. We spoke about the double, well, not double run-outs, but the 2 run-outs that we've seen coming in to the east doorway has been a big piece of their early round advantage. And always, oh, he's whiffed it! He's absolutely whiffed it, Tim! And KZ, no surprise at all, absolutely shuts him down for it.
Always has done so well so far today, and it's inevitable that you're going to get these moments as the pressure, as the tension, as the nerves all rise for these players, and always just suffering on the back end of that. KZ, he just gets himself into position, but they know. Dan, I think he's aware of the Solis just playing, but not exactly where. He's going to hold his angle, dips away, comes back for a look, but KZ will surely know. He'll spot out the gadget and drop away.
And that's enough. I think actually getting into a spot where you've got 2 kills onto the enemy team, and now backed away is perfect. They can afford to sit and play behind. Well, the smokes are all gone, to be fair. I was going to say smokes and C4s, but they've gone through the lot. So actually, this is suddenly quite secure for Virtus.Pro to start a march on towards site and look for a couple of kills. Let's not forget, the main overriding utility still in this round is those Grim Cowan launchers. 4 of them in back pocket, plus smokes, plus a minute to play with. They can do this, Tim.
Certainly can. Pasha's just going to be using that vertical angle, keeping an eye on things in sight, trying to get something going. They just need 1 kill, you feel, to spark them into action, to be that catalyst to push them forward. Joystick knows that there's a man inside of Tellers. He doesn't know about JB92 in blue, though, as he gets cut down. It's all up to Dan. 1v3 becomes a 1v2. He has time, but he's playing Ring Around the Roses here. He needs to find another one, at least, before he can think about the end of this round. He takes health off JB92, and that stops him peeking out.
Oh! I was going to say the reload locks you in. They'll hear that sound now. Fancy their chances of not getting double killed by a single bullet. And they walk away with the round, Tim. This is just so back and forth. It is 2 Titans in the ring right now. They're going blow for blow.
There is no defense. There is no blocking. There is no guarding. There is only wailing on each other and just trying to deliver the biggest blow that they can in every single round. And you know what a display of siege this is that we're seeing. It's just entertainment in its purest form for me.
Last round of the half, and that will, once again, same as we saw back on Clubhouse, see every site on this map played. Supplying Customs coming up next. These are the moments that always will look back on and think, man, I played so well. Well, that could be the round maker. That could be what makes or breaks this series as well. I know it sounds harsh to put it on one moment in time, but it does when it gets this close.
It's such a shame for somebody who has delivered so much through the game, and you know, it's not going to be decisive over the entire 3. There's been other, you know, situations. You're always going to look to a number of things that could have won or lost you a match, but for somebody like Always who's played so well, as you say, just having that unfortunate slip there, it's always a tough one. I think there's a little bit of siege time in there as KZ just sort of managed to drift away from his aim and behind cover as well. It was definitely a tough one.
Another quick rehost coming in here. Sorry about delays with that one, guys, but it's going to take us a couple of minutes so we can get things back underway. At this point, Tim, I really feel like it's building a little bit of tension as well, because the players then have time to sit there. Can't really hear yourself think, but you have time to stew over how things have been going so far. And we keep on saying it's been blow for blow for blow for blow between these 2. 1 round going away either time, alternating between them. And yet again, we head towards what looks to be that 3-3 scoreline. Every map's been decided in the second half so far is the thing. And so that second half, for me, that is going to be telling.
I love that even through the tech pauses. Have you ever seen a crowd like this during a tech pause? They are just absolutely unstoppable right now. But neither of these teams have quite been able to find the same form. They are battling back and forth, both of them able to have their moments.
Then we heard it explained earlier by Leo, our wonderful Portuguese host, by the way. Him and Mr. Chambers have done a phenomenal job together on that stage.
Absolutely.
It's hard coordinating 2 language streams at once, but they've done a smashing job. But Leo was saying the main chant you're hearing, this one, is the count up to 7 for W7M.
Yeah. And I wanted, I'll take the opportunity whilst we're in a tech pause to thank and give a little shout out to all of the Brazilian staff and talent that have been here. You know, they've been extremely welcoming, and it's been an absolute pleasure sharing the arena with them.
It's been delightful because we don't normally share, like we have what's called a green room where we hang out between games and get to watch the games and just like relax and prep. We've had to share it with the Portuguese team, but they've been so fun to be
So fun. It's been fantastic. A lot of faces that you see over the years on the other broadcasts and every now and again at events, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to spend it with everybody. It's been such a celebration of Siege.
Ain't it just? Well, you saw all the fist bumps coming in, which means we are getting back into things now. Let's go into our operator pick base. So once again, thank you for sticking with us through that brief delay. We'll get ourselves into game very, very shortly, I imagine. Say that. Players just dropped out, unfortunately. Back into the rehost we go, Tim. I wonder if we keep doing it, if the crowd will ever actually fall quiet.
No, absolutely not. I believe that we could play this game for the rest of the night and this crowd would still, in the morning, be cheering just as loudly.
I'd like to confirm this. Wasn't every map in the grand final max OT? I'll have to go and do a double check. But I'm pretty sure it is, and I can only imagine, after maybe 7, 8 hours of this, that the team, they'll still have the energy to keep going.
Question nowadays is, of course, which of these teams handle this delay the best? There comes a point where you just want to keep playing. You're finding your shots. You're ready to go. You want to keep that energy up. And now these players are sat there in their own thoughts, wondering what's going to happen, who's going to make it to the grand final, and this becomes a real testamental fortitude.
I don't know exactly what the flag says, but they've got each team on it.
Yes, they do. They've got all 5 of the Brazilian teams.
This is what I love. It's like, actually, yeah, it's not all to say we all hate each other in Europe, but there's definitely that kind of rivalry of, like, you know, it's BDS and the French teams have like walls as well, versus the British teams, versus the Russian teams, for example. It's very back and forth, but here, I know Liquid everyone really wants to see on this main stage, but everyone backs Brazilian teams to the hilt.
I'll take us a little trip down memory lane, Des. You and I and everybody at home, you'll remember one of our first casts together, at least with Tier 1 teams, OGA Pit, back in December 2019, where Team Liquid ultimately won. But if you remember, MIBR were there as well, and as soon as they dropped out of the tournament, they were screaming every bit as loud for Team Liquid as they were for themselves. You know, the staff, everybody in there was backing, and it is a real Brazilian thing to just get behind your teams, no matter who it is, and they've really shown up.
And it's like you say, really cute, the players themselves get behind each other, which is
yeah, absolutely. In Berlin, if you remember, we had all the noise from the balcony cheering FaZe on, and that was all the Brazilian players and families that had made it across there. Even whether it wasn't their team or not, they were still backing them.
All right, speaking of being back to something, Tim, we are back to the game. Here we go. Last round of the half, as we mentioned earlier on, w7m up 3-2. Where they've seen success so far across this half has been an early round disruption. Run-outs, well, not really spawn peaks on board, to be fair, but early round aggression, swings onto windows, you name it. That is where they've done well. Where Virtus.Pro have done well is in identifying roamers, mainly herds on the Solis, and setting up a plan to pinch him and shutting him out of the round early. So it really becomes a game of speed. It becomes who can act first. Do you see disruption out of w7m picking up attackers, or do the attackers manage to coordinate themselves quickly enough and punish those roamers?
Virtus.Pro wanting to get themselves inside of the map quickly here, I think. Don't let w7m build on that aggression that they've been bringing. We've seen them up at the barricades trying to get those early kills. JB92's doing it again. He's using that gadget on those outer walls to try and spot when somebody is droning. If they hunker down in a position that they think is safe, to have a look at those cams, JB92, if he spots them, is going to be straight out there.
That's why you've got to be so careful. I think why Pat's is playing things super carefully and sensibly right now. Just want to get himself into a spot where, as you say, the Solis catches him or one of his teammates on drone, and that's it. A jump out comes through. They get that early round disruption. It's a game of chess, just always trying to think 2 or 3 steps ahead of one another.
As of yet, Virtus.Pro not able to get inside of the map, not even really at the boundaries. There's a big rotate going on where they're just switching up those positions. Obviously just rebuffed and thinking they need a plan B.
That's okay though. I think like being outside the map for now isn't a problem. And admittedly, being outside the map previously and losing 3 players, And that's a problem. They still have everyone alive, but they're collecting information throughout the map and figuring out where does the hole exist in this defense really is what all teams try and look for. Where is the best place on the map that we can push in?
Joystick just going to be holding that angle onto Breakdoor, but there is going to come a point where Virtus.Pro have to push this. w7m set up so fantastically well. They've got each other covered, they've got crossfires established, and Virtus.Pro are almost certainly going to pay for every step that they take inside of the map here, because Herd, he's looking to challenge out into 90, but again, playing it smart, not over-committing. w7m know exactly what the game plan is. Dan takes a lot of damage, but always does even more to Herd's.
Patience is a virtue, and my God, the VP showed it this round. They get rid of a couple once we start seeing some happy feet coming out from w7m, but just like that, 2 kills come back their way. JD getting punished, and Joystick finds him. 45 seconds to go.
Such a war round to round here. They're just absolutely back and forth, not giving an inch to each other. Joystick, he's looking for those vertical angles, can't find any for the minute, and that is now Virtus.Pro with 30 seconds left to use this map control.
This has been the most tense round of the bunch so far. I think we're down to the last 30 or so. w7m have been sort of pushed back by Virtus.Pro every time it's come to an engagement, but not without suffering some wounds of their own. Dan, a single bullet away from death. The sky is falling down on the remaining w7m players, but the clock waits for no man. 10 seconds, the drop comes on through. Basher's looking for one. Filippo whiffs it a bit. Dan finds him in the back, and nade shut down. Virtus.Pro find the win in round 6. And once again, Tim, things feel so difficult to call.
Absolutely brilliant from Virtus.Pro, just in that final 10-15 seconds, able to get the job done, even though it was a difficult one. They've had to really think about it, had to really position themselves, had to really move around in order to get that opportunity, and they got it done in the dying seconds. Fantastic from them.
Woo! 3-3, yet again. Where every map so far, admittedly it's only 2, where they have been decided came from second half. That is where the difference was really made. So what I would hate to see here, being honest, Tim, is one team run away with this. And I send them on like a 7-4, even a 7-5. The one thing we've been missing in the bingo card, Tim, admittedly there's a couple of things missing, but the one thing that we can help with is that third map overtime. We may still get ourselves there. w7m attacking into Armory Archives. Ossa on side. You know this is going to be an Archives push.
It certainly is. We're going to see those shields used on the corners, as we would expect from that east side, trying to get themselves inside the map, just trying to grab a little bit of ground that they can put that diffuser on, and just try to put Virtus.Pro on the back foot. Going to be a first defensive round, as you say, always 2 halves, Des, and this first round or 2 is going to be really telling for who ultimately will push through into tomorrow's final.
Completely agree. So many tools on side here for w7m, looking towards the Grim, in towards the Buck to get control below, the Ossa, the Capital. Everything just screams that it's anchored around this execute, as well as these claymores going down, and the shield for the back for good measure. Everything is saying it's about the Archives plan. So what you're probably going to see is someone also get up on the Archives north side window to provide the cover and cross while Nate gets in with this front-facing shield to get a plant down. But there's a lot of prep work to do before then. Often you want to see attackers, like you can see out of JV on the Capital, getting control of sandwich window inside of B site. You also want to make sure there's some threat coming in from east side too. There's a lot of things to think about. It's not just a case of open up the barricade, get the plant down, job done. You also want the booking below, which means clearing out those that are playing on the downstairs. But now you can see KZ down here, a little bit of potential challenge coming in from above. But I think if Virtus.Pro allow a lot of time over to w7m here, they'll have all they need to pull off a very, very clean execute.
Hertz is going to pick up the first onto Always. KZ with one onto Pasha. Joystick fighting back with the trade, but that leaves now Virtus.Pro on the back foot, 3 versus 4. We've had a utility dump inside a side, and the push is coming to try and get this diffuser down, working in behind the Ossa. But Joystick, he manages to level things up 3v3. Dan doing some damage to Nade, not much, but enough to back him up for a few seconds, but not long as he gets in there and starts planting. There's nothing they can do about this, Des.
They can't, they're going to have to fight their way in here, Tim, and it is going to be rough. This panel, just enough to hide a single man on it. He lies down, can't quite see the head though. And I think at this point, Virtus.Pro is a little bit of panic stations. They realise there's no way back into this one. It's on the hard floor. Nade finds one. Joystick will do what he can, but the man is in there behind the shield. The window's being protected. W7m have done enough. Shepard can look on, but with only 15 seconds to go. This one looks like a bust, and the Brazilian team will take the first round in the second half.
Almost certainly. Shepard heads his way upstairs, but time ticks down, and there is not going to be enough of it left for him to do anything here, even should he find the kills. Nade closes it out, and W7m, they take one more step forward in this matchup.
Absolutely fantastic round. When you see Joystick hitting a double kill, when you see them clearing out the threats from below, you start to worry. And that's admittedly the second time I think this tournament that I've seen a team make use of the Oster to push your way inside, but then immediately step to the right and plant in the corner. You expose yourself to metal, you expose yourself to what some teams call Africa, the small office inside a B site. And from that position, you are under a lot of threat, a lot of duress.
See the drop down there that was unsuccessful. I think just unaware of the positions of W7m there. Virtus.Pro giving up a little bit of an easy opener. We're going to see them move on. They're not going to take the same site. This time they will head downstairs, I think. But before that, it looks like we've just got another short pause.
It's a small rehost because his army's available. So Virtus.Pro is saying, can we make sure that's fully banned out? So that'll get sorted, and then we go straight back into things. Only a small one, so no big technical issues for us to work through. God bless. That was honestly a great first attacking round. You want to see how to attack that site when teams are bringing out a very default defense to it? That is the answer.
Yeah, it was really good from W7m. The problem solved well. They moved players back to create space for that Oster to go in. You feel like on a different day, maybe Dan has a little bit more luck and maybe catches a few extra shots onto the feet of Nade, and maybe that changes things up a little bit, but no, Nade, he was decisive, he moved quickly, he got himself into that safe spot, got his shield down. It was really well played from W7m.
Tired, do you think, Tim, a few of these boys?
That's it, you've got to remember, you know, as we said, W7m have played already today, but even for Virtus.Pro, it's still a long day. You're waiting around, you're waiting to play. You know the stakes, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of tension, you know, waiting to get into that game, and they will drain the energy after it. And there's no draining any energy from the fans, I will say that, but the players, I'm certain, are feeling it by now.
They make me feel older than I am. I did it for 5 minutes and I'd be on the floor wheezing.
I wish I could say that they make me feel older than I am, but I am that old.
Oh, man.
But I tell you what, it makes an old heart very happy to see so much enjoyment and passion around Siege.
Another chance to come out very shortly. I'm sure that's the call they keep making for it. Keeping that crowd gassed up to the max. Understanding their team are just 3 rounds away, Tim, from an all-Brazilian grand final.
Yep.
And that is what this home... I said to a few of the talent in the Portuguese side, I was like, look, as much as it'd be great, like Brazil versus Brazil, we love an international final. You love having one region versus another.
Yes,
but it does also feel that with this crowd, a win for Brazil being guaranteed would be something special.
I think it would, yeah, I would agree. By having that other region there, for me, it just creates that extra bit of jeopardy. It sort of can be lost. Whereas, like you say, if it's 2 Brazilian teams, it's kind of a win-win either way. So I think that little bit of extra jeopardy can sometimes work wonders. But either way, Des, one thing that I will guarantee for tomorrow is that we are going to have a fantastic matchup. We're going to have an unforgettable grand final, and this crowd is going to absolutely love it, as is everybody at home. That much I can guarantee.
Well, you didn't mention us loving it, though, Tim.
We always love it, Des.
We love it.
It goes without saying.
All the talent are going to absolutely love it. All right, ban issue sorted out. Game is back underway, so we'll jump into things in just a few seconds. It's going to be a Vents Workshop defense this time around, Tim. I actually saw, I believe it was VP joining the Rooney ban yesterday on Cafe. Seen quite a bit of a resurgence of the Castle-Rooney combination that we often saw them trying to hold down Piano. Of course, it being available here. Not really the map for it a lot of the time, but they're going to make it stick. Seeing the Solus on side for Shepard. Not normally the player you think of when you think about someone in the scene that wants to get out on the roam and cause a bit of bother. Shepard's one of the last players you think about with the number of times that he's been left in 1v3s or 1v4s for his team.
5 seconds remaining.
Going to be ventilation and workshop for round 8 then. Virtus.Pro for me, Des. I feel like they desperately need to hold on to this. When W7m, if they get themselves to 5-3, I feel like they'll be able to smell that grand final. They'll know how close it is. and it's going to be so tough to rip it from their hands at that point. They are going to clutch onto it for dear life. And so I feel like Virtus.Pro really need to fight back and get themselves ahead again.
Well, let's think about what we spoke about in the first half for w7m on the defense. It was about that early round aggression. It was disrupting the attackers. It was taking away some of those tools that are so potent when it comes round to the execute. Really, anyone on this attacking side, you'd love to get offline. Maybe look at the IQ and say, you know what, expendable once the black guys have gone. A similar thing for the Brava, but obviously has those smokes in back pocket. Either way you look at it, any kill feels like a good kill in the early round. For now, Virtus.Pro are sat waiting, and wait they shall until Herds, the Grim Reaper himself, steps up. Decapitates always. 5v4 for the Brazilian side. Are you starting to smell it, Tim?
I think we all held our collective breath then, thinking that Herds was going to walk headlong into a problem, but always couldn't find him. Dan will pick up the Leapox 4 versus 4. There goes Herds as well, and Virtus.Pro, they're in sight and fighting back. But KZ, he will get the late trade. 3 versus 3 now, a difficult site to be able to hold on to if you don't have the verticals though. And Pasha and Shepard up above are going to start showing exactly why. Shepard, a fantastic site player, will know every angle from above when it comes to ventilation workshop.
Oh, Joystick's managed to get on the backside as well. I don't think he knows there's a player up above him actually inside of office. JV getting back out onto his balcony here before trying to work his way back through. I think he's dropped actually. This 1v1 could be massive. Joystick can protect this side of the map if he finds JV, but if it happens in reverse, it's absolute disaster for Virtus.Pro, and it's Joystick that wins out the 1v1.
And Virtus.Pro, they needed that. That really breaks the back of the w7m attack. They're going to have to reposition, they're going to have to move, they're going to have to find a couple of kills. They've got time, and Nade gets a red ping. He goes looking for his man, but Joystick will know that he's being hunted down because that red ping will have told him everything he needed to know. Joystick, he knows where he wants to go and what he wants to do. He finds himself 3 in the round. Will it be a quad? Yes, it will. Joystick looking like he could take on hell with a water pistol, Des.
Just, you like that one? That's a new one. Oh, it carries on, man. The back and forth, the 1-for-1 in rounds. That's what makes this so difficult to call. But I'm glad, admittedly, that we've seen both teams take a round, that it isn't going to be an absolute sweep by one side or the other. We spoke about that key moment, the 1v1. It's what it comes down to sometimes. JV versus Joystick. Joystick, he had the edge.
He's just one of those players, he's a difference maker. He's somebody who can step up and get the job done when his team needs him to, and he's shown it there. Total command of that Showers position, just would not be moved. Dug his feet in and said, I'm here. And he was pushed multiple times in 1v1s. If there is somebody that you do not want to go and repeatedly challenge for gun skill, it's Joystick. He is going to win those fights over and over.
You just don't know who to hedge your bets on. Joystick's gone massive. Dan has gone massive. Always has gone massive. You could say the same about loads of players on the side of w7m. Herds and KZ seemingly unstoppable at points. JV with some unbelievable clutches throughout the series. Sure, there's a few names in there I haven't mentioned, but don't be mistaken. They're all playing their part when you're one of the final 3 teams left in this competition.
We are getting closer and closer to the sharp edge of this game, and obviously at 4-4, there are certain words that start rumbling around the mind, Des. You know, wondering as to whether we will see 12 rounds or maybe we'll be treated to just a couple more. We're not going to speak it into existence just yet. Both of these teams will be hoping that they can get it done inside of regulation, but at the minute, there is so little between them.
The Armory Archives set up once again. This time, though, no Ossa is the critical thing. What notice? The w7m.
Loading mag!
The Ossa really indicates, as we touched on, that you are going to see an Archives hit coming through. This time round, things can be at least a little bit more dynamic. The one thing I'm looking at, though, and I'm a little bit concerned about for the side of w7m, is there is no half reach on this team. We say West Main completely locked up. It suddenly starts to get messy. Of course, part of it, as you can see, has been less soft, so for Leapox maybe in a spot to do a little bit of work. If they reinforce things off, though, things start to get very, very messy. Joystick give it a swing, and it's a 2 versus 1 coming out, but ultimately ends up in a 1-for-1. For either side, Pasha hitting 2 huge shots. One of the players that I didn't mention during that last little breakdown of who's had some big moments, but makes himself heard. Shepard into a C4, a 4v2, and it feels like for the first time, Tim, we're going to see a team pull themselves ahead and take 2 rounds on the bounce.
Yeah, it does. Just the EU team, Virtus.Pro, able to really push forward here, put themselves in a good position, market forward, because w7m have been so tough to hold down for other teams. This is the first time that we've seen the Brazilians in the arena really put under some pressure, and boy does the pressure mount as Shepard finds 3 in the round, always with the last. And the face of the fans says it all at the minute. The nerves are creeping in as the pressure is rising on w7m. The hometown heroes really need to step up, and they need to do it now.
Still a massive part of this crowd that are in there behind w7m. Still cheering.
They will cheer and chant till the very last second. It could be a 1v5 in the final round, and they will still believe.
Woo. All right, as said, BB pull ahead. That is brilliant, by the way. That is unbelievable from Basha. Not down by the edge. They simply don't see him fall down. Maybe just about gets underneath the half wall. On his belly like a snake up onto his feet and nets the kill as well. Well, many people in this room are right there with you, buddy. The bathroom, Tim.
Bathroom and tellers will be round 10 as Virtus.Pro continue on that slow creep towards the grand final of the Six Invitational 2024. One thing that I do know for sure is that within the next 6 rounds at the absolute most, we will have another finalist alongside FaZe. That much is for sure. And that is what is on the line for these two teams.
It turns out to be all those rounds, Tim.
A reminder for this team as well, Virtus.Pro, this roster was there 2 years ago in Sweden in the final against TSM, and they lost. They were runners-up, and they are so close to having another opportunity.
Like you're saying, the last dance or third time lucky. Those are the phrases to remember for either of these two teams. w7m moving across to bringing the Monty along. We spoke about this back on map 1 when we first saw it coming out. It does really slow things down, and saw some pretty good success coming out of it. Admittedly, it was interesting to watch teams adapt and change around what they were playing so much. Imagine it's going to be somewhat the same story here. For w7m, though, pace and trying to upset members of Virtus.Pro has been a big part of it. A couple of Romans on side, looking at the Alibi, looking at the Solus, and looking potentially towards the Legion here. And then they might find themselves upset the joystick. Wins some shots onto Hurts, and he pays the price. But yet again, Tim, it's a 1-for-1 between the two teams. Just when it feels like someone's getting ahead, there is a snap back to reality where you can barely draw a line between these two.
I can barely watch this through my fingers at the minute, Des. It is becoming so intense between these two teams. Hurts is just lurking around waiting room, seeing if he can pick anybody up, but w7m are taking a lot of chip damage along the way. KZ has been hit, Hurts below half. Nate is in a position to get this diffuser down, and I don't think there's anything that Virtus.Pro can do about it. They've managed to stick it, but kills come in on the retake. Always and Pasha could be pushing them towards a match point opportunity, a series point opportunity, and that will do it. They move on to 6. Virtus.Pro take one more step.
A single round stands between Virtus.Pro and a three-peat, a third chance at an SI Grand Final in the last 5 years. You surely start to believe that at some point, Tim, it becomes doable, no longer just a fantasy. w7m have got to find 2 rounds to send us into overtime. They call in the tack time out because this is the last chance saloon.
It really is. There is no more mistakes for them now. One more round will do it for Virtus.Pro, and we'll see them line themselves up against FaZe tomorrow in the biggest match in Siege. This is the time for w7m. This is the time for the coach to really have that big impact to try and turn things around for them. It's difficult because you don't feel like they've really been making mistakes. Virtus.Pro have been winning these rounds. They've been grinding them down. They've been taking gunfights and winning them. And it is just so difficult to play against a team like that.
Let's accept the crowd. Let's take a deep breath. As we say, it all comes down to this. And I even love how some even waving goodbye to their own team potentially here, Tim. Now for map point, not just apparently for opposition teams, but also their own. But that brief pause, I think, is really going to set this round onto the Razor's edge. Round 11 coming up, and it's going to be a Vents Workshop defense for Virtus.Pro.
It all hinges on this for w7m. They have to win both this round and the next. 2 in a row, nothing less will do. If there is any team in the world that we know is capable of doing this, is capable of fighting back, of giving themselves that opportunity in overtime to get everything that they've dreamed of, it is w7m. That much is for sure. Virtus.Pro need to look sharp here. They need to be on top of this because any small mistake will be taken advantage of. We're going to have the black eye cameras placed upstairs. That's going to tell us that Virtus.Pro are going to look to hold on to that top floor again. It's ventilation workshop. We've seen them defend it already. We've seen them defend it fantastically well. Shepard got a 3 kill. Can he repeat?
I wonder if they read into the lack of hard breach that we've seen. Admittedly, for this site, not really the end of the world, but 6 impacts being brought along for Virtus.Pro, and you have the option of a C4 at the very least. The mouth is a little bit mental. Nothing in the way of denial upstairs, so even with that information being used upstairs, there's not too much they can do in the way of getting kills, and even now, being impeded by these castle barricades. We'll keep an eye on the ASO, that's one thing I'm watching out for. JV, where those Selmas go, sure, impacts may well look to follow.
Urge just peeking around the corner. I think w7m trying to apply a little bit of caution here, not wanting to lose that opening death. It's happened a few times, and Virtus.Pro, with man advantage, have been fantastic at keeping on top of them. They know they need to give themselves the best foot forward in every single round from here on in. Nade is going to be opening up the wall. They're trying to get themselves positioned inside of office to begin with. That will give them the beachhead to move forward and start pressuring Armory and Archives to get that vertical control. And things are getting, if anything, there's even louder in here in support of w7m.
Feel the thudding in my own chest. It ain't really in the heart. That's with the vibrations downstairs, Tim. A nice little cute change from Virtus.Pro this round as Shepard on the solo is playing downstairs around customs and supply. And instead it's Joystick on the Valkyrie that's running around on the top floor. So a small change from when we saw Herds being the solo roamer out inside that part of the map. There's opened up some options for the side of Virtus.Pro here. Mainly feeding in that information, making it quite safe for the plays he'd made by the Valkyrie. Philippox has got the one on main stairs though, wants to try and cut his way through. Little does he know, he's a matter of pixels away from a couple of players there. One on main stairs, one that has tucked in. Almost potentially a kill coming through, always getting away on 25 HP. Last 60 seconds, Tim.
So close for w7m to get that great opener that they needed, but it doesn't happen. And is that going to be the end of this story? Is it going to be so close, but so far? JV92 and Hertz find kills. Joystick gets one back. The diffuser's going down. KZ gives them an opportunity to keep fighting. w7m, they take us to 12 deaths.
Jesus wept. That was a cheer like no other. I couldn't hear you say the line, Tim, but I know that you said it. All the way to 12. We wanted to see 3 maps. Do w7m grace us with overtime in what is proving to be one hell of a series for this calendar year?
This is one of the best games of Siege I've seen in a long time, and you just feel like for both teams, it's a difficult one because overtime it's stressful, it's hard on both teams, it's hard on all the players. And of course it's the best entertainment for everybody at home, but you don't in this situation, you don't wish it on anybody. You don't want anybody to lose in overtime. But equally, you just feel like both of these teams, they've delivered so much. They've delivered heart and soul into this game, and they both deserve that opportunity to keep on fighting.
Hearts have been broken by Echo Yokai drones so many times in match decider points. And what's passion rolling? The Yokai drones. We've seen w7m come in with an Ossa. We've seen them come in with no shields. For the 3rd time attacking this site, we'll see a Monty on side. They big brained the hell out of Virtus.Pro last time round with the Ossa. The Monty, I imagine, you can use to a very similar effect, if not arguably more safe. It just feels like even the smallest of mistakes will send w7m home. It's going, Tim. This is it.
Honestly, this is true edge of the seat stuff. This is special, Des. This is one of those moments that you've just got to soak up before the chaos commences. And that's exactly what's going to happen. We've got Felipox on the Monty. He's looking to use that to bully his way into the top of these stairs and begin this march. And the march is going to end in one of two places, Des. It's going to have Virtus.Pro in the final, or it's going to see W7M push us to overtime. There's only 2 minutes left to decide.
Almost misses the cross. That could have been the moment. I keep saying it, but single kills can be the difference maker or the difference breaker for either team. No one's fell, no one looking to be too aggressive or too risky. Pasha loses a Yokai, that is big.
It really is. It's going to just really hamper the ability potentially of Virtus.Pro to be able to deny those plants later in the round should it happen. They need to be using the shield here, the W7M, to start pushing forward, to start disrupting Virtus.Pro's defense. They get the opening kill. It's JB92. He takes down Dan, and what a big player to take off the board. Out comes the Nitro, and it takes down the Monty. Shepard, Joystick, they find one apiece, and all of a sudden it swings again. 4 versus 3, 3 versus 3.
There's no way JB brings this back. He's on a mission. 2 kills in the round, a 3v3 with 60 seconds to go. Can you write a better script, Tim?
Neither of these teams want to give it up, Des. At the minute, W7M have had to take a little bit of a step back. They're using that time that they've got. Virtus.Pro, they are dug deep inside a site. Pasha all the way back at half wall. Joystick playing in CCTV. They're just waiting for their opportunities to mount.
The time, the plan going down, with or without a Monty. But here comes that Yokai. We spoke about it so much. He's got the right idea, but they get control. That's what they need. It's on to a 3. Tim, save the line.
We're going to overtime, Des.
Oh my God! Oh my
The entire arena is on its feet. You can feel the cheers. You can feel the energy pulsating through the floor. This game is turning into everything that we all dreamed of, Des. W7M, hometown heroes, they keep themselves fighting, and we're getting 3 more.
It's moments like these. I don't know if players live for them, but we live for them. Fans live for them. What the bloody hell happens next, Tim? What happens in these last 3 rounds when both teams have gone 3-3? You cannot call it. I tell you what, whoever that script writer is in Montreal, give him a raise. I felt like doing that, Tim. Get the shirt off. Woo!
What do you mean? I already have. Des, you and I have been casting together for a long time. We've cast some special games that have gone to the wire, and this is certainly up there with them. But what I will say is in all those games, in all that time, Des, I can't think of many occasions where my hands have been trembling coming into the final rounds. And right now, that's exactly the situation.
We think of 2 big games, we look back on it, Tim. Semi-finals in Sweden 2021. Dan Wonkia against FaZe, our grand finalist tomorrow. It came down to a 1v1 between Rin and Souls. Souls won, they would go on to win the whole competition. We look back at the Berlin finals. What team is there again? FaZe. They are always present in every story. And these teams are fighting for that right to take them on tomorrow, to lift the hammer. And JB starts out with the entry in our first of 3 potential rounds.
That is a huge opener for W7M. Virtus.Pro have just come off the defence. They played well there, and they're looking to continue that momentum. But W7M, having picked up those 2 back-to-back rounds, they say, you know what? We've got some more in us on the attack.
Another countdown for W7M. A countdown to their demise or Virtus.Pro's. In we march, a repeat of the last round. The Monty this time I can't see going down to a C4.
No, it's looking like a very similar push this time. Of course, W7M had to mix it up a little bit after they lost the shield. This time, they're going to be aware. They're going to be ready for that Nitro. There is Nitros on the side of Virtus.Pro, 2 of them, Shepard and Dan. And I just wonder if they're planning on doubling up. One comes out, JB92. He's grabbing this game by the scruff of the neck and saying, not today. Not today.
JV had that exact same angle last time round, but no C4 came. The discipline to acknowledge that might change the very next round. Give yourself a pat on the back, son. That's the one you want to see.
1 minute
Easy.
10.
Pixels! Pixels! Seize the man! Shepherd lives.
Need to find themselves another kill here. They know there's one inside of CCTV. It's Joystick trying to hold on to that location. Dan is actually on a bit of a flank underneath. JV92, he's managed to get himself downed as well. That's not ideal. It levels us up. He's going to get picked up. Nate taking a lot of damage. Time becoming a factor. Dan in a battle underneath. It's going on everywhere. But Hurts, he manages to find Shepherd before being downed himself. 5 versus 3 now.
At least 4v3, make it 3v3. 2 players are down, Tim. It looks okay at face value, but if they can't recover either of those 2 players, it's over. And Dan, with a run out, they've made it on top, Tim. A 3K for Joystick. What the hell are these rounds?
Virtus.Pro, they might just be able to drag this over the line.
Oh,
they get themselves the quad. It's Joystick again. Here we've already seen him have the 4K. Can he finish it off this time, Des? Can he find the ace? Nade is low health. He's pushing around.
No!
He goes for the challenge, and what better time? Joystick picks up all 5, Des.
We're on to that point, Tim. All it needs is one more round, once again. Will they do it here? Or will W7M take us through to that so sought-after final round?
They've already thought back against 2 map and series points, Des. All their fans are asking of them is just one more. Fight back.
Just one more, Tim, just one more.
Fight back one more time. Give yourself that opportunity. Virtus.Pro, they've had 2 chances. This could be their final one. We will see what happens.
I'll tell you what, Tim, I'll sleep well tonight. This is proving to be, as you say, one of the best series that we've seen in such a long time. W7M, you've got full faith that they can get this done. Let's revisit what we spoke about in the first half of the map. If they can disrupt Virtus.Pro early, they would win rounds. If Virtus.Pro managed to shut down their rovers early, they would win the round. So what we got to see, Tim, W7M getting active, getting busy, trying to catch out a player or 2 of Virtus.Pro early in the rounds.
Imagine having the nerve to hit an ace in overtime, map 3 of an SI semi-final. I don't know where you find that kind of composure to fight in that sort of spot. He was pinned down inside a CCTV Joystick, and he's just taken the round on his back and said, we're doing this. Joystick, he wants to go back to an SI final.
Doesn't he just? Keep on telling the story. Denied twice. Once by G2, one by TSM. They make it to tomorrow. They could still yet be denied by a Brazilian team, Tim, that have completed the full ring around then. APAC, the last region to get in their way. But it's all going to come down to how this game ends first. That story could be for Toffee. We don't see them win here and now. Philippox on that clash, a great way of slowing down Virtus.Pro even further. We've seen slow met with slow, and it's been effective for the side of W7M. I just worry that on this map, with how aggressive it can be, how gunfight-driven the outcomes can turn out to be, that it might not quite be enough. Nade ready with a C4 inside of office. Knows that Dan is out there, but not yet able to find his man.
This site was defended twice by W7M in the first half of things. They won it once, they lost it once. There's absolutely no stats that we can bring you realistically that are going to give us any idea of which way this one goes. The pressure is going to start mounting on site. Nade with Nitro in hand. He's knowing that he doesn't have a target to throw it at just yet. He's going to put it back in pocket. He's going to hold on to it and try to find that devastation later in the round.
Slow and tentative is the way you describe maybe the last 2 or 3 rounds that we've seen. Both teams nervous to make a single error because they know it will be what books their flight ticket home. Admittedly for W7M, home is not far away. But for Virtus.Pro, it's halfway around the world. Office being opened up there, step through coming in. Stop, man. I'm gonna have a heart attack before this series is out. Hurts onto the entry. Dan taken offline.
Empire just stalling out a little bit here. They still have time.
They may as well be, Tim.
Virtus.Pro stalling out a little bit. They're just struggling to get themselves established inside of the building. KZ just again in that spot that we saw Joystick so effective from last time around. Can't quite dislodge him,
40.
can't quite have the impact that they need on him. The clash starts coming forward, and as the seconds tick by, that shield becomes more and more important. JB92 with kill after kill after kill. Hurts, he finds one. 4 versus 1 now, and there's winning all the way to 15! I love it!
What conclusion could you script that does not look like this? Tears in the crowd, tears on the desk may well follow.
I think I'll have some tears before this is done. Oh.
Jesus Christ!
Rarely have we seen, or rarely are we treated to 2 teams fighting back and forth so hard. W7M have shown unbelievable resilience to keep themselves in this one. Virtus.Pro, if it doesn't go their way, you have to feel for them, Des. They've been so close now for the last 15 minutes.
They were up 6-4. It's been pulled to 7-7. 3-1 over the last 4 rounds. This place will erupt if W7M can get this over the line here and now. The deciding battleground will be Vents and Workshop.
10 seconds
And at
left.
all times, to bring out the old faithful of Doc, it's now for Dan.
5 seconds remaining.
No shields, no shenanigans.
Attackers are heading
Straight
out
up
to defuse the
siege
bomb.
to decide the conclusion of this unbelievable series.
It's going to be ventilation and Workshop, the site where it will all be decided. Virtus.Pro, they're the ones who have to hold on. They're on the defense. They just have to wait and see for the time being.
I tell you what, you want a nerve-wracking 3 minutes as the defenders? This is it.
That's it, they just have to wait and see what W7M brings to the table. There's nothing else realistically that they can do. Joystick, we saw him hold on to this position last time so well. And it's no surprise to see him in CCTV again, JB92. He's done so much for his team, Des. He's done so much for W7M to keep them in this. It looks like he might be the one to go and clash with Joystick.
Said it across the last couple of rounds, but everything's felt that little bit more tentative. Teams so afraid of making a mistake that can cost their team that spot in the grand final. Dan, guess what? Juice himself straight back up. Always in a similar position, a little bit healthier here. Hurts. He's been such a player on these live stages. But here on East Main, he's being fed nothing. Always was looking for a backstab, but himself probably very aware that it's all too easy for W7M to get the pinch on him.
Pasha just hitting the deck, trying to keep himself safe again, just trying to keep map control here, Virtus.Pro. They're keeping W7M at the boundaries. It's Border, don't let the attackers in. Hurts, he manages to find the first on to Always. The crowd erupts, but Dan levels it off. JB92, KZ, no greater tale can be told, Des, than hometown heroes that are looking to secure their last dance with destiny. W7M, they continue to push, they continue to see, and they charge into the finals of Six Invitational 2024.
I am out of words. There is nothing that can take away what a victory this is for W7M. The record keeps spinning. The dance continues for their showdown against FaZe, live here tomorrow in front of 9,000 people to establish a new dynasty in Rainbow Six Siege.
They've really shown us today, Des, that they've got the nerve, they've got the bottle, and they can do it when it really counts. When their back is against the wall, W7M, they push back and they get the job done. All the way to the grand final for a showdown with FaZe here tomorrow in Sao Paulo.
Your hearts have got to go out to Virtus.Pro for a moment too. They say that all empires that rise must fall, but this is only the beginning for this reforged roster. We can expect big things from them across the rest of this year, but today, tonight and tomorrow, it's that Brazilian love story that one of these two teams, FaZe or w7m, must be the dreamers of. Take a bow, lads.